Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. I'm Jeff, that's Tom. We're online at ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free. Always don't miss anything. Sometimes you miss something. When that happens, remember all 3 hours to be posted upon the conclusion of the show, both to iTunes and our own audio vault. You can always email the program if you like. It's JCS at 979ESPNradio.com. On Twitter, it's at JCameron Show. Also, the WTSM app works just fine for your mobile devices. We're on YouTube, ESPN Tallahassee. I think I said that. If you want a Periscope, do so on Twitter at 979ESPNradio. So it's good to be back, as a little vacation served its purposes. I'm sure you feel good. Tom, welcome back stateside. And I know everybody's Matthew got a couple days in there, just a couple days. Did you go down to Tampa, run around with the kiddies? All right, that's good. That's good. So everybody had a little fun.
Hello, old chap.
Yeah. That's you at all times now, right?
I apologize in advance if the pacing to my conversing is a little different, because if you do speak with a native there for long enough,
you end up adapting.
You start to pick up the way they talk over there.
No, you do. When I was in Ireland for like 10 days, I think I ended everything with a question by the time I left. So there was just no, it was always that way, whether it was a question or not. All right, so first and foremost, we've almost made it, kids. The ACC kickoff was an awful lot of fun, as it is every year to attend, but it just serves its purpose, which is to kind of light the fire and ignite the passion that we all have inside, that you have to push down, that you have to remain dormant with for weeks on end. At times it feels interminable. The off season I'm speaking of course. But once you go, for me anyhow, in this business and even as a fan, once you go to that ACC kickoff and you're surrounded by coaches and you're surrounded by players and you're surrounded by people that cover these teams in their in their particular markets, and you have an opportunity to converse with them about transition of coaches and players and staff and all those things and outlooks on the season to come in the ACC as well as nationally. And you're seeing this go on all around the country now. Of course, you have Big Ten Media Days. You got the SEC Media Days going on at the same time when we were there in Charlotte as the ACC. And, what you get is very real, may not be juicy at all times, but very real news involving football programs, their players and coaches, and the upcoming schedule. You get an item seemingly now every day that reminds you football is nearly upon us. And that, is a welcome respite from the desperate search for any little morsel of goodness that you can find anywhere in the country regarding football on a random Tuesday in late June. You know what I mean? That's you go from, it looks like the Rams may make one more move. And that has to sustain you for 4 days.
For 3 hours in those 4 days,
too. Well, within the show, but we don't worry about that. At that point, we just start talking about animals attacking people and whatever else. I mean, I learned a long time ago that I am not going to be burdened by, something that's not really something I can turn into something. You know what I mean? Like I can't, if the Rams are deciding whether or not to sign that free agent right guard, I know in Tallahassee I'm not doing 3 hours on that. I'm not going to waste your time and insult your intelligence by trying to pretend like I care that much. So that's why you're better off just hearing me rant on about traffic or heat or freaking dinosaurs or something like that. So, but now, having said that, you do get this opportunity to expound on what you learned, what you saw, what you heard. And there was a lot. And we'll replay for you, or play for the first time for you guys, my Willie Taggart interview, about 8 minutes long, that I did with him in Charlotte. It'll be next segment that you get to hear that. And I look forward to playing it for you because I thought it was a nice little conversation, frankly. And that's what it felt like. I also had a chance, to talk to Gene Deckerhoff for 20 minutes, Tim Linnefelt and I, Seminole Insider, Tim Linnefelt, and I sat down and talked for a good long time. I talked to Justin Fuente of Virginia Tech, of course, Florida State's first opponent. He didn't sound like he was real chipper about the upcoming campaign. I thought that was interesting. I think Tom this morning, while kind of catching up on things, went back and listened to that interview and thought, my God, because I had texted you that he sounded a little down, that he didn't sound like a guy that had the utmost of confidence coming into this first game of the year. Then you actually listened to the interview, and I think you would say that I probably undersold that aspect of it.
Yeah, so in print it reads one way, and then you hear him say stuff, and you go, oh, my God. Now, he may have been a little weary from the media circuit that day. I did hear your off-the-record discussion, which was, how you doing? He's like, it's a long day, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
He wasn't complaining about the interview he was doing with you. Just, they put you really through. If it's a car wash at ESPN.
A long day, man. A long day, yeah.
It's like 7 car washes when you go to the ACC kickoff.
I'm always sensitive to that, too, because when you get guys at the end of the day, like I watched him get paraded around the ballroom there, and he went to 5 or 6 other radio interviews before he got to mine, and I'm watching this play out. By the way, our guy was there.
He's there?
He's still there.
All
He's
right.
still there. He's still excited as ever to be in that role. He meets his job with enthusiasm, the likes of which we should all be so lucky to have.
Still? That warms my heart.
Oh, buddy. Hair's still slicked back. He still fancies himself Matthew McConaughey, and he still runs around. You got Coach Fuente coming up next. We'll be over to you, and you'll jot down your location.
Row C, table 14.
Yeah, there's a certain zeal to what he does, man, and that guy, be where you are, and he is.
Well, and it's probably exhausting having him as your media handler, because I'm sure that when he brings Fuente places, he tells Coach, come on, Coach, we got some great people in Clemson, South Carolina. All right, I got it.
Oh,
but
man.
The long and short of it, we'll play the whole thing, and I can't wait for people to hear this, but the program's in shambles. People aren't buying into the system. They're not old enough. They're not veteran enough. And, Virginia Tech, I love the school, but, yeah, you never say never. There's just a whole lot that goes into that interview, and you hear it in the tone, you think, woo, this is the opposite of what he sounded like in 2016 when you talked with him in 2016.
Yeah. And I think he's a quality coach. He's won 18 games in 2 years. He's a guy that right off the bat, he won ACC Coach of the Year, I think in his second season, or was first season maybe. He's a guy that has immediately made an impact on the conference. You saw what he did at Memphis. He's noted for his talents with quarterbacks. You've seen a lot of guys under his tutelage put up big numbers. All of that's true. But he's had an offseason that no coach desires, and we talked about this. I mean, he's a guy that had to face that question with every interview that he did over the course of that day. And it just cemented, I think, the difficulties, I'm sure he's well-versed, in all that they were dealing with. And I appreciated his candor, because a lot of coaches will either take a defensive posture in that situation, or they'll deflect and try to mitigate the depth of negativity that they had gone through with the dismissal of players and the articles that were questioning the discipline of the program and its players and all of that. He didn't do that, but he did sound a little hardened. He did sound like a guy that understands that the early part of this season for Virginia Tech is going to be tough to weather. And I don't know what to think about that. If I look at it from the Noles perspective, I look at it from our perspective, I would say they're ripe for the picking, for lack of a better term, that this is a situation that works out really well for Florida State, because the stadium is going to be energized in a way that is similar to Oklahoma a number of years back, and that everybody around here is frothing at the mouth at this point, because all we've heard about are the positive changes within the program. Willie himself is not only the new head coach, but he's embraced the traditions, and he can't wait to see Florida State be great again and isn't afraid to talk about it. So the polar opposite in terms of the off seasons these two programs had. And yet, ordinarily, you'd side with stability. Ordinarily, you'd side with the program that has won 18 games the last 2 years and has a coach that has sworn allegiance to the institution and seems to love Blacksburg and can't wait to be there at Virginia Tech for another year. However, this was the first time that he kind of shed some light that maybe all wasn't hunky-dory.
Well, and that's the thing. You can debate whether or not I'm reading the tones right when you listen to this interview when we played later this week or whenever it is. But what you cannot debate is that he is positioning Virginia Tech to be the underdog in this game by a large margin. He's saying,
I think it's a smart play.
Well, I mean, but Florida State's the veteran team, and we've got a lot of new players, and obviously the offseason hasn't been the way we wanted it to go. And it's almost like year one is something else he says rather than year three, because they're so young.
Yeah.
And so you have to start anew, everything, and people have to buy in. So it's just not debatable. Whether it's in print in the pool, talking to the beat reporters, or talking to you, he is positioning Virginia Tech to be the prohibitive underdog in this first game. And if you went back 6 months and you just talked about the game in general, you would say, well, Va Tech is going to be the favorite here. I mean,
certainly I thought maybe it would be a pick 'em. You know, you can't underestimate Florida State at home at night. It's hard to – listen, Doak Campbell has a long-standing history of being an incredibly difficult place to play, even in years in which we were down. At night, you know, we think about Saturday nights at Doak in yesteryear. That was a big kind of tradition-building element to what happened at Florida State. Yes, there are exceptions. Obviously, the Wake game was that night. We got beat 30-0, all of that. There are exceptions, of course, but it's not a place you just assume that a non-dominant program is going to walk in and have their way. So I thought at the very least it would be a pick 'em.
Understandable, but DeAndre Francois hadn't been in the good graces of the coaching staff yet. You didn't think you had a true quarterback battle. It was James Blackman coming back. How much can you expect from him? And then obviously there's a lot of coaching changes that are going on here, and how is everybody going to adapt to the scheme? But the quarterback battle, while maybe 6 months ago looked like a negative thing, looks like a positive thing now. And maybe that's just spin winning over. But I think there's truth to it, that you have two quarterbacks who played a full season, and it looks like there's a healthy amount of respect between the two of them if you listen to all the players around them. And here you go. They're both committed to the program, which means that you should get a really good candidate, a really good starter for week one, no matter what happens and whose name is called.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you this. The sense I got was Willie was on a mission to, in some ways, convey that the offseason has been a healthy, prosperous one for DeAndre Francois. His talking points, and you'll hear the interview I did with him in a moment, in which we get into sort of the complexities of DeAndre. And while he's not willing to declare a starter, of course, I do think he feels pretty good about the strides DeAndre Francois took this offseason in the form of leadership. Now, you got to win the battle on the field. You got to go out there and make the throws, and you got to show you that you can run this offense. And you have to have won over your locker room again. These are all things he has to consider. But I believe it's a quarterback battle that will prove to be an uphill battle for James Blackman. It looks like I'm going to be wrong with my initial assessment that DeAndre Francois, upon getting hurt in the Alabama game, may never start another game for Florida State. If I were, and I am, a betting man, I would say that that DeAndre is going to make it all the way back and end up starting for this team this year, so long as there aren't missteps or, knock on wood, he doesn't re-aggravate it or anything sort of injury. But he moved back on campus and he did these things that clearly Coach wanted to see him do, and that we rightfully, and I won't deflect, me in particular, wondered if it was possible for him to pull off. Because when you show to some degrees a level of selfishness and unwillingness to commit to responsibility and leadership at that position, you usually can't recover, or it's very difficult to recover. But I think it may be possible, hearing Willie talk about what's happened this offseason, and it may be possible that somewhere along the way, DeAndre realized what was at stake and learned to trust and bought in, and has gone about the process of mending relationships and being responsible. And that's just my observation from talking to Willie Taggart at the ACC kickoff.
I'll be interested after we play it and the people get to hear it, your thoughts on whether or not this was a campaign to at least prepare people for DeAndre being the guy. Like if it's almost we're heading into camp, we got to let it play out. But for Willie Taggart, DeAndre is his guy.
Well, here's the thing. I thought it in the moment. I thought it while we were talking to each other. I actually, in the moment, thought that's what it sounds like to me. But, and I'll listen to it again as we play it here in a moment after we come back from this break. But I want to say this. I think in a weird way that was completely necessary. Remember, one of the surprising elements of what Coach Taggart has done from day one upon his arrival here is this honest and open dialogue with the press and anybody else that would listen about the situation at Florida State that he was inheriting. He was not in any way apprehensive about ripping DeAndre Francois publicly around every turn. I mean, that was the thing, I think, besides his candor and kindness and different personality. I don't think there was anything that struck me more this offseason about Willie Taggart taking over than his repeated criticism of DeAndre Francois. I mean, there were times, and I don't think it was above and beyond, but there were times that it seemed like he was looking to take a shot, trying to find a way to work it into the course of conversation. You know, I mean, I thought, well, it's going to be tough to overcome first impressions, you know. When your first impression of a guy is that he's selfish, he wasn't committed, that he wasn't a good teammate.
You find a way to talk about it on signing day.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, well, man, that's not a good sign. But it turns out, anyhow, or so it seems, that was a test. You know, where are you at, man? Are you going to take that? Are you going to shrivel up, decide to leave the program, shrink in the moment, or are you going to rise to my expectations, meet those expectations? And if so, it serves as a message, a resounding one at that, to everybody else about new day, dawn of a new era. We all start fresh. Don't think I don't know what went on here last year, but you got a clean slate. Now show me. And I think it will serve him well if that happens. Now, listen, I'm not going to count James Blackman out because I got admiration for that kid. I think he's incredibly tough. I think it was much more difficult than people really realize to have to take over in an untenable situation as he did a year ago with an offense that certainly didn't cater to his abilities right off the bat. We didn't shrink the playbook in any way, shape, or form. We had him back there, slow developing plays. He'd get his ass beat every game at 150 pounds soaking wet. It went an awful long way every time he pulled himself up off that field and survived another snap and fought. And even in the midst of having some really poor games where you began to wonder if we wouldn't be better off pulling him in this situation so as to not ruin him in the future, he still found ways to fight back and make plays and potentially lead what should have been game-winning drives. If the defense hadn't screwed us against Miami, there would have been one. He did it a couple times in that game. You know, you saw incredible heart. So I'm not going to discount his ability to maybe rise up yet again and make this an opportunity for him to win that job, even though things seem to be trending towards DeAndre Francois. Keeping in mind they haven't taken a snap yet in camp, so let's find out.
One thing for Blackman is that Cam Akers, I believe it was Cam, that both players were asked, you know, if you had one teammate or one person by your side that's on this team in a fight.
Yeah, Cam Akers was asked that, and he said Blackman.
James Blackman. And again, it's teammates take notice when you're tough like that. And also his demeanor is one that it looks just from the outside that it's easy to get along with James Blackman because he looks like a natural leader. He's more outspoken than DeAndre ever was. I mean, before there was negative DeAndre press, we talked about it to Randy Sanders. What's the difference between the way DeAndre leads and the way Jameis leads? And he said, well, they couldn't be more opposite, but you can lead in multiple ways. Mm-hmm. James is much more of your standard cookie-cutter leader. He's outspoken. You can see the emotion, good and bad, which is sometimes a negative thing. But he's the type that definitely on a sideline could walk up to an offensive lineman or a position player, speak to them from the heart with fire, and motivate them. So if DeAndre makes this climb all the way back, how does he win over a guy like Cam Akers who believes in James Blackman and not the guy who didn't show up for senior day last year? How does he make other teammates buy in?
Well, yeah, and it has to be through actions. It can't be through words, and it has to be all of these things about committing to teammates, committing to practice, committing to the extra work off the field, committing to the locker room, and doing the things necessary to prepare yourself to win football games. Guys got to know they can depend on you at all times, both in your decision-making on and off the field, all of that stuff.
Well, and from what you told me, Cam Akers would be, yes, he's like a Wonder Woman's rope of truth. He'll see right through you if you're not committed.
I cannot wait to watch Cam Akers play this year. I couldn't wait last year just because of all the hype surrounding his recruitment and what he was coming out of the state of Mississippi, obviously. But here's a kid that is as committed as I've seen. Now, there have been other kids this committed. I'm not saying he's more than anybody I've ever witnessed. But those kids stand out when you interview them and talk to them. Those ones that have a singular purpose, that are driven and focused, intensely focused on being great. And you know when you're around it, it's uncomfortable. And what I mean by that is it can be motivating, certainly if you're a teammate of a guy like that. But from a distance, when you're not in the competitive rigors on a day-to-day basis like these guys are, you're reminded, you snap back to reality, that the best of the best who care to be elite are driven in a way that you so seldom see in everyday life. And when you're sitting across from it, I'm thinking, this guy could play right now, and he's pissed that he's not. I mean, it's interesting that that guy will tell you in no uncertain terms, I want to be the best football player in the country.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a great running back. I want to be the best football player in the country.
But he also strikes me as a leader. That's the other thing. In listening to the clips of you speaking with him, the presence on the microphone, I'm not saying that he necessarily sounds exactly like him, but the presence on the microphone, when you hear somebody talk, a player like this or a coach who has a commanding presence, you immediately envision as they're talking what they're like in practice. You're like, ooh, this guy would be a handful to deal with. He reminds me of LaMarcus Joyner, the quiet intensity.
Really quiet.
And
yeah.
you know, I mean, now LaMarcus was playing chess. LaMarcus is one of the smartest defensive backs. I mean, really.
But also driven in a way that was, they talk about his workout habits and the pull-ups and all the different stuff that he would do constantly. They'd have to tell him to stop working out. He's going to hurt himself, those kinds of things.
But the desire, the burning desire,
the vision, right.
LaMarcus was all about it.
That's what I mean.
And this Cam, it just reminds me of the way LaMarcus was.
It's a fair comparison. And guys that are real quiet like that, but you know there's like a smoldering underneath.
That's what. Yeah. They want to inflict pain. Cam is like a defensive player in that sense. You can hear it in his voice.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to get by you. He wants to hurt you.
I love playing with guys like that. I often, everybody knows I name drop this all the time because he was just such a great teammate and a wonderful player to be with. And I played with him in junior midgets all the way through high school. But William Floyd, I loved suiting up with him because he had this anger in the way that he ran the football, and I would see it in practice. I mean, he would hurt people in practice, and you just didn't half step when you were coming to tackle. I mean, there was some business being done in every transaction. There was a serious give and take, and if you didn't come with it, you were going to get hurt. Yes, he strikes me as that kind of guy.
Yeah, I'm not saying that Chris Thompson isn't tough, but he wants to get by you.
Yeah, he's going to run past you and use blazing speed.
Right.
Yeah.
Cam sounds like, and it matches the body type. That sometimes you got, mix and match kind of stuff here. That was the problem with Jacques Patrick earlier in his career. Like, come on, Jimbo's like, will you lower your shoulders?
Run like the man you clearly are.
Look at you.
Look at you.
Right.
You're a Greek god. Run over that kid.
It does seem to fit Cam. Like it looks like he can do
something
about it.
I think the reason the expectations are so high for Cam is not only what he did as a freshman on a team that was a bad football team, but it's also because when you get that mixture of speed and strength at that age, and then he arrives on campus looking like that and illustrates it in game. See that poor kid from Miami who got broken in half on the sidelines. So watching a kid at that age with that power and speed and the maturity as time went on over the course of the season to sort of adapt, understand that he needed to get better at letting plays develop and setting up runs. And he talked about that in my interview because he was a former quarterback and he was used to just getting the ball and doing what he wanted. But as a running back, there's a design. You got to let it play out, and he understood that by season's end. I just think everything that he's dedicated into his craft comes out in these rather sort of seething interviews that he does. And I'm not saying he's mean. It's just obvious that he's about that game, man. He's about ball. He's about
ending you.
Yeah, I mean,
which is what that 13 defense was like. He's got that little spirit in him.
Well, and if you play with guys like that and you it can't help but be infectious, right? I mean, he makes plays. He's a superstar player, and he's going to be in an offense that's going to allow him to have more touches and get the ball in space. But it's funny because he'll openly talk about wanting to 300-400 yards receiving to go on with 2,000 yards rushing. Oh, that's all, huh? That's all. So we're way past. You can tell we've been away. The opening slot where I would normally be told, Jeff, you've got to go to break in some form or fashion. Long before now, especially since we're going to play an interview and we have the bottom of the hour Sports Center.
I can move Sports Center. People have heard Sports Center for weeks. They want to hear you.
Sports Center. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. When we come back, we'll play that interview with Willie Taggart.
Round like a bottle of Mountain Dew. Glistening, cold, and delicious. I'm made to keep Mountain Dew within reach at all times, so you're never far from that incredible bold citrus kick whenever you need it. Just inches from your hand, all snug and secure where it won't tip over or roll under your seat or get hot in the sun. So find a store already. Grab some Dew, toss it back, then place that bottle where it belongs, and put that loose change back in your pocket. That's what pockets are for. Mountain Dew. Do the Dew.
Hey, I'm Jeff Doxey, Realtor for Capital Property Consultants, representing Premier Fine Homes. If you're thinking of owning your own brand new Premier home, call or text me at 850-545-4747 or email me, jeffdoxey1@gmail.com. You say where, I'll be there. Your Canopy Connection.
The 15th annual Kingfish Shootout is almost here. The tournament is being held on August 4th and 5th in Carabel, Florida. Entry fees are $400 per boat, but with a sponsorship of $1,000 or more, you can get one free boat entry. Purchase a ticket for $100 to enter the boat raffle for a 2018 Nautic Star Flats boat valued at nearly $40,000. Ticket sales are limited to 350 tickets, so act now. There will be a mandatory captain's meeting held on Friday, August 3rd at 6 p.m., followed by a free dinner for captains and crew. To register, visit their website, seaquartersmarina.com, or call them at 697-8400.
By the time that we got up there, his room was filled with smoke.
The wind had blown and drifted the snow up against the side of my house, blocking the exhaust from my furnace.
I heard the smoke alarm going off in my friend's apartment.
Without the kidda smoke alarm, my son would not be here today.
And had it not been for that carbon monoxide detector, they would come to school and not have their teacher there.
I grabbed my fire extinguisher and put out the fire.
Kidda makes technology that saves lives.
Get these essential products at your local retailer today.
Parker Brothers Roofing says don't play games with your roof. Protect your home and your family. The Parker Brothers tell you the truth. We'll fix your roof, 'cause it's what we do. With quality, integrity, and pride. Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Hey, this is Wendell Parker of Parker Brothers Roofing. Most startup companies go out of business within their first 3 years. It takes years of experience for a roofing company to be exposed to and learn all the things that can go wrong. Don't gamble your valuable home to an inexperienced roofer. Parker Brothers has been in business in the community since 1995. Give us a call now at 656-8112.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
TGC 042221, CCC 049350.
It's time to get your chop on as our Atlanta Braves continue to roll through the big NL East battles and into the summer.
The 3-2 pitch, here it comes, and there it goes. It's fair, it's long, it's in the chop house.
Atlanta Braves baseball on 97.9 ESPN Radio is brought to you in part by Fonville, Lewis, Messer, and McConaughey, and by Metro Deli in downtown Tallahassee. Head to espntallahassee.com/Braves. The Jeff Cameron Show is brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener. Big store pricing with local service. Online at ctf.nu.
A discussion of the British and the anticlimactic. Sorry, Molinari. That's great. You played wonderful. You've been playing well for weeks.
He has been.
Oh, he's been awesome, but
yeah.
Nobody cares.
That shot on set, exactly. This is
Nobody
the point.
cares.
So I'm watching the Skyview Network's broadcast because I'm in British time watching it, which is cool. That shot he hits on 17, if anybody of circumstance hits that shot,
yeah.
That is legendary, and people talk about it for. It was an afterthought. Nobody even mentioned it.
You know what was funny about it was not just that, and then obviously he does what he does on 18. But as soon as it happens, people go, "Oh, so he's gonna win." I mean, that poor unfortunate bastard. That's where it's at. I mean, they went. So I guess Molinari's gonna win. All right, it was an enjoyable British Open. Click. I mean, like nobody. That's the reality of that situation. Nobody wants to hear me talk about the British Open. Here we go. Willie Taggart and I sitting down for a nice little chat at the ACC kickoff. Hey, Coach, you're about ready to be done with this, aren't you?
Not yet.
No?
But here a little bit.
Well, the reason I asked that is, obviously, as the new guy, everybody wants to talk to you, and that's exciting. But at the same time, you've said it numerous times, you haven't coached a game yet. Mm-hmm. Now, you checked all the boxes in the sense that Florida State fans love you. The spring game was a huge success. I talked to the players. They sound bought in. How eager are you for this first game against Virginia Tech so you can get to the part that you love to do, which is coaching football?
I'm not that eager yet. I'm more eager for training camp, and see the work that our kids have put in this offseason when we wasn't working with them. I think that's going to say a lot about our football team as we go into training camp and see the improvement that they made. Once I see that improvement, I think I get very eager for the first game to go out there and perform, knowing how important that game is for us. So I think now, and I think you see a lot out of your football team from spring ball to training camp, especially the work they put in because we can't be out there. And I'm really excited to see that more than anything. And once I see that, then, again, like I said, I think I get more eager for that first game.
Do you like – I want to go back to creating a culture which you had to come in and do and create a family atmosphere and all that. You've talked about it. Do you like having a game of the magnitude of this to start a season? A lot of coaches like to ease into a game. Are you indifferent about it, or do you see it as a great opportunity and you're excited? I know every game is a game that is an opportunity, but
I'm always looking at things as a positive, and this is a great opportunity for our football program on national TV. And you think about the down year we had last year, we got a chance to go out and right a lot of wrong in the first game of the season and let people know things are going to be different, against a really good football team, and we got them at home. So I'm excited about all those positive opportunities that we have in front of us by doing that. And again, that's kind of the way the game has gone now. That's what's happening, and I don't get caught up in all the other things. We got to play, and you think about the expectations and where we want to be. You got to have a strong schedule, and you got to win them. I mean, that's the fact of the matter. So we just got to take care of our business.
Have you found that? Listen, everybody's going to ask you about quarterbacks, so I'll get to it. But have you found that DeAndre has bought in now? Because that's the first guy everybody's going to bring up. We know James has been from the beginning, and he won his teammates over with the beating he took last year in a pretty untenable situation. Kept getting up, kept playing hard. The question's been about DeAndre coming off of injury, and then whether or not he can win that locker room and trust of everybody around. And how has your relationship with him grown?
Big time. From day one, we met quite a bit one-on-one, and I think he's learning a lot. He's learning a lot about being a quarterback at Florida State, and he's learning the microscope that he's in and understanding how there's things that he's probably been able to do before. He can't do those anymore. That's just, you're not in that position anymore, and I think a lot of it is just learning. And I think that's our job as coaches to help and teaching how to do things the right way. I think DeAndre is a great kid. I think he wants to do things the right way. I think a lot of it is they just want to know how. He want to know how we want him to do those things. He want to be a leader. I think a big part, he didn't necessarily know how to go about doing it. Everyone thinks just yelling at people, that's not just leading. And it's part of my job to help teach him how to be a leader. And I think we're going through that process now. I think he's growing up. I mean, he made a decision to move back on campus to be around his teammates, knowing that that's going to be big for him and being around them. And I think the team embraced that, to be honest with you. I think they wanted that more than anything for him to be back around. But I do know DeAndre is a kid that he don't trust easy, and it takes time to where he can trust you. And you understand it as a coach, and you work with him to get to that point. And once he trusts you, then he'll open up to you and allow you in. I think he's allowed me in, and when I'm critical of him, he take it with a grain of salt and don't take it personally and understand it. But I'm also always trying to teach him how we can be better and how he can be better and what the team expect out of him. And I think he's getting the grasp of that. And as I see him around with the team now, he's smiling more, and it's just good to see him around more. But more importantly, I see the team more excited, joking and playing with him too, and that's cool to see.
You've talked about the advantage of coming in at a time while a team was still practicing for a bowl and preparation and being able to sit in meetings and look and see how guys react. Were you worried initially when you didn't see from DeAndre Francois what you needed to see? Were you concerned that maybe he was lost?
Well, I knew when I was still out in Oregon and I heard that he wasn't at the senior day. To me, that was an issue then. And so when I was before I got on the plane to fly here for our press conference, I called DeAndre. And we talked, and I discussed to him that day how that bothered me. And as we go forward, I don't need that from our quarterback. I need our quarterback around his teammates, loving his teammates, and I need this team to know that their quarterback will do everything in his power for them, whatever it takes, take his shirt off their back for him, and explain that to him and to let him know even before I got there that was on my mind, so he'll know that there was high expectations for him. And but I also knew that when that happened, to me, that was a kid that's lost. Right. Because that just don't happen. You just don't show up. So, but then once you get to know the kid, you can see why certain things happen. It's hard to trust, you know what I mean? And when he do trust, he don't want to be betrayed. But anyway, you know, so you just try to understand the young people and understand what they're going through. Everyone thinks it's just peaches and cream.
Right.
And these kids go through so much, so you try to understand them, but also hold them accountable and to the things that they have to do and the things that they signed up to do.
You feel like, final thing, Coach, obviously that has resonated, that message, the family atmosphere you've tried to create. You when I talked to Brian Burns earlier, talked to Cam, talked to various players, you get a sense that everybody is all in. And I know it was one of the things you said that you thought was most glaring when you came here, that guys didn't know each other. Guys, and if in football's a hard game.
Yep.
If you don't trust the guy across from you or next to you, it's hard to play that game.
Yep.
And do you feel like we're at a place right now? I know you're excited for practice to start to see more, but you feel like that's happened? That's what this offseason has been about?
I think we're so further ahead than what we were when I first got here. And because our guys are starting to understand guys more, the guys are understanding more personal life about guys, which made them understand why guys act the way they do. And it's great to hear some guys like, man, I didn't even realize such and such went through this. You know, I've been here for 4 years, and I didn't know that.
Did you get them together and exchange this information?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we did a senior retreat about a month ago with our seniors and our Unity Council, and we went off and spent the night, and it was all about leadership. It was all about getting to know each other, and it was great just hearing guys, just seeing how excited guys were to understand guys even more, and then they tell you, Coach, appreciate you for doing this,
right.
You know, because and they tell you that they just don't know each other as well, you know. So you see it now, and you see their attitudes are different. They're around each other more. What I'm happy about, they're in the office a lot more. You know, it's easy to find a guy now, and that's pretty cool.
Hey, Coach, I'll be talking to you
thanks,
a lot.
Jeff.
Good luck.
All right,
See you.
buddy.
Take care. Willie Taggart and I just talking at the ECC kickoff. Good times, and come back and react to that momentarily. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Smoother, bolder, sharper, comfier, smarter, fiercer, tougher, stronger, longer, greater, prouder. Gravely Zero-Turn Mowers.
Great time to buy a new Nissan from Kraft. We have 0% interest for 60 months on every new Nissan, and the best incentives we've ever had. Listen up. Kraft Nissan has $5,000 off of 2018 Rogues, Altimas, Muranos, Maximas, and Pathfinders. You heard right. $5,000 off of 2018 Rogues, Altimas, Muranos, Maximas, and Pathfinders. You get a great price on a new Kraft Nissan, and you're helping a great cause in hospice. And remember, Kraft Nissan is donating $100 to the Big Bend Hospice for every new Nissan sold now through July 31st. Not in the market for a new car? Stop by Kraft and we will match your personal check up to $100 made out to the Big Bend Hospice. This hospice transport van is that important. 55 and counting. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco.
Come out and meet Senorita Makita at the Makita Driving Innovation Tour on Friday, July 27th. This is a national show being held at Cornerstone Tool and Fastener from 11 until 2. There'll be a demo truck on site and all Makita tools will be 10% off. Receive a free 2 amp-hour battery with any cordless tool purchase or buy a Makita chainsaw with 2 batteries and receive 2 free 5 amp-hour batteries. This one-day only factory authorized sale will have better prices than Prime Day on Makita tools. So make sure to get out to Cornerstone Tool and Fastener, 1110 Stuckey Ave.
Don't just listen to The Jeff Cameron Show. Watch it live. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Live weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. Head to ESPNTallahassee.com today to watch live or catch up on demand. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Brought to you by Nice Tire and Auto, your trusted Goodyear dealer.
Nice Tire and Auto, just minutes away from FSU campus.
I'm Michael Blank, attorney with the law office of Jose Fernandez. If you've been in an accident, I know this can be a scary and confusing time. Our firm specializes in handling all types of accident and injury cases. Let us guide you through the process and get you the compensation you deserve. Call 855-HOSE-305 to make an appointment for your free consultation today. If you can't come to us, we can come to you, day or night. Call us now, 855-HOSE-305, the law office of Jose Fernandez. We don't get paid unless you do. Offices, Tallahassee, Miami. Se habla español. JRFinjury.com.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown. Colts quarterback Andrew Luck hasn't played in a game in almost 19 months, but Coach Frank Reich says Luck will play in the team's preseason opener against the Seahawks. Luck missed all of last season after surgery on his right shoulder. 22 NFL teams, including the Colts, will hold their first training camp practices tomorrow. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports for the second year in a row, Rams defensive end Aaron Donald is a training camp holdout. Donald did not report today. He's the reigning NFL Defensive Player of the Year and entering the last season of his rookie contract. Falcons coach Dan Quinn and GM Thomas Dimitroff each get 3-year contract extensions today. They're now both signed until 2022. In their first 3 seasons, the team has won 32 games and played in Super Bowl 51. DeMar DeRozan is now with the San Antonio Spurs. He tells ESPN's Chris Haynes why he was so upset with the trade that sent him away from Toronto.
I felt like I wasn't treated with what I sacrificed for 9 years, with the respect that I thought I deserved. By just giving me the say-so of letting me know something's going on or it's a chance. That's all I want. I'm not saying you don't have to train me or you just let me know something going on because I sacrificed everything. Just let me know.
DeRozan was the 9th overall pick in the draft 9 years ago. The Red Sox make a trade with the Rays today to get right-hander Nate Eovaldi. Tampa Bay gets a minor league pitcher in return. Center fielder Starling Marte leaves the game after getting hit by a pitch on the left hand.
Broadcasting live from the AmeriGas Propane Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
That falls under the category of the Pirates aren't allowed to have nice things. 11-game win streak. Marte, they can't get him out. He's hitting a home run every day. Just hit him in the hand. Corey Dickerson hit a home run in like 7 of the last 10 games. Hamstring issue. God, dog, here we go.
Boy, you sound like your friend across the glass with the bad luck.
Well, I mean, it's just that I went from being indifferent. We were 6 games under 500 and rattled off 11 straight wins. Within a few games of the wild card, this is getting weird. So you draw me back in, and then that. All right, so Willie Taggart, really comfortable in that setting, clearly, and I enjoyed that conversation. He's got a message, and he's going to relay that, but he does so in a really kind of just a really easygoing, sort of talkative way of conversing. And talkative way of conversing. That's a silly thing to say. Easygoing way of conversing, just sort of laid back, and I think that will serve him well. I think it serves the players well. Coming off the last staff. Now, I would say, conversely, if we were coming off a staff that had a tough season that was laid back, you'd want a more disciplined guy, or not disciplined, but intense. So I get how it goes, but it's a welcome shift of gears.
Well, by far the most energy he's had for an interview on this program. I don't think there's any question about that.
I think he was well rested.
Well, and his program is starting to take hold. That's the other thing. There were so many unknowns. And he had to worry about, the first time he talked to him, he has to worry about recruiting and filling his staff. Those are two pretty big boxes to check.
Well, he's flying everywhere all over the sun, under the sun in the first few weeks. It's one appointment after another and trying to figure it all out, yeah.
Now he's got people to delegate to, right? He's got his staff in place. They got a recruiting vision. He's not allowed to talk to recruits as much as the position coaches, so that's probably nice for him. He's done the booster tour. They've been through spring camp. He's getting his reports back on the workouts. It's gravy. This is the freshest time of year. Even Jimbo, some years where he would be micromanager Jimbo, he would look the freshest at the ACC kickoff. Then you got into fall camp, and he would look haggard and tired. But this is the time when people are fresh. It's just nice to hear him have the energy. He's excited to get going just like the rest of us.
I've said this, and I'll probably repeatedly say it, and it sounds sort of a dismissive or derogatory, and I don't mean it to be. But I've so thoroughly enjoyed getting to know him as little as I have. We're not friends. We don't hang out or anything. But I've had a chance now to talk to him 4 or 5 times. And twice now directly across from one another, not on the phone, just having a conversation. And he strikes me as genuine. He strikes me as good people. Just a good guy who moreover, I think, and there's a reason I'm saying all this, who moreover cares deeply about those kids. I think I always want to see that. By the way, Jimbo cared deeply about the kids. I'm not implying anything. I need to see that from my coach. I think it's still very important. You're still dealing with very young men, many of whom come from really unfortunate sets of circumstances. And so you again want to see that they're getting into a program where people in a position of power have their best interest in mind. So that he checks every box there. And once all of that can be said and is duly noted and observed, because he's nice and because he is approachable and because he's shown himself to be all of those things I just described, you find yourself saying, oddly, I just hope he can coach. And I know how that sounds. People would say, well, wait a minute. He has a track record. You can see how he coached. He turned USF around. He got Western Kentucky to a place where they could move up divisions. And, obviously it was just 1 year at Oregon, so it's hard to get a gauge there. But when his starting quarterback was in the lineup, they won a lot of football games and produced a lot of points. I got you. Suffice to say, Oregon's not Florida State. And USF is certainly not. So the pressure here, the microscope he's under here, and the challenge is greater than anywhere he's been. Clemson is a very real problem. They're a monster in the world of college football, and they're in your division. And so there's no excusing away, the fact that they're at a place right now where they're a little bit better off. These things come and go, and there are trends, and everybody gets that. No, they're in your division. You got to figure it out. And we don't have time for you to be pussyfooting about. You got to figure this out and start beating them relatively soon. And so you just say to yourself, sure hope he can coach because, man, is he likable. I want it to work for this guy. Beyond it's my school, I just want it to work for this guy.
So now that you've reheard it, and this is probably 3 or 4 times I've listened to it now, just for any inflections, the DeAndre Francois notes, there were tons of them. You asked good questions, and he gave you thorough answers. It wasn't a 5-word answer where he's trying to evade. Yeah. He's more than willing to open up about DeAndre the person and tell you about that he's not quick to trust. And that when he lets you in, he really honestly lets you in, and he doesn't like to be betrayed. There's a lot to unpack there.
Well, sure. And whether they're veiled shots or direct shots at the previous regime, or if it's just an observation of a personality difference from he and his teammates and a typical guy that he's had to coach at that position, or any number of things, it's kind of figuring out the riddle there, right? And I think that's all fine. I think it's more important, though, that while you're trying to connect as a coach to a guy that can help you win football games, that you also understand and you let it be known that, okay, I got it. There are a lot of things here that maybe I don't understand and I'm learning now as we get to know each other, but there's also a set of rules that I expect you to adhere to. And regardless of the kind of person you are or your background or whatever it is you felt about last year, the season before, or how you grew up, these are the rules. This is the way it works. And you'll do this or I can't help you. It's almost a help me help you scenario here, and that's important because, again, you're establishing discipline. You're establishing a certain standard that you're going to expect everybody to live up to, but especially a quarterback who, regardless of the reasons, has had missteps. And I'm not talking about anything egregious. I mean, Snapchatting on Senior Day and all that wasn't a good idea, and it kind of makes you a terrible teammate in the moment, but it's not a crime. So I get, let's not go crazy about what we say with his off-the-field stuff, but at the same time, you can't have a quarterback that people can't trust or good teammates.
I just think that it's notable there that there is a marked difference between saying he's doing everything that we've asked him to do and we'll see what happens in camp, and what Willie actually did, which was essentially go to bat for DeAndre the person. I believe he's a great kid. It takes him a while to trust somebody. He doesn't like to be betrayed. I mean, you wouldn't go into these details if you're not willing to go to bat for the person. So I find that interesting that DeAndre has at least won Willie over enough to the point where he'll go to Charlotte without DeAndre by his side and go to bat for him publicly. That speaks volumes as to how pleased Willie is with the process to this point.
Yeah, I didn't think it was possible. I'll continue to say it. I didn't think that DeAndre had illustrated at any point now, listen, I've never questioned toughness, of course, and to some degree I've never questioned that he's good enough to play the position here. I don't think he's an elite quarterback even when he's at his best, but I don't think he's bad either, and you can win with him is the point. That said, I mean, you just had a series of missteps that spoke to what appeared, certainly outwardly, to be a selfishness that's hard to overcome in the locker room, and you had enough people kind of look at him with a jaundiced eye to wonder whether or not he had lost his teammates, and if you lose your teammates, you can't win the job. You can't. So not at that position. I mean, you could be a backup right guard, and nobody cares whether or not somebody likes you, but in that situation, you gotta have it together. You got to have everybody in lockstep.
And it's going to be fluid. I don't mean to say that this is definite that he's Willie's guy from here on out. It's a fluid situation. Everything he does from here on out will have mega weight in how Willie treats the DeAndre Francois situation. I think it's notable that it at least got to a place before even camp started that he's willing to do the extra things. And that also sends a message to the locker room.
Hey, give him a shot. It's hey, give him a shot. He's moved back on campus. He's around you guys now. He's trying. Yeah. You guys meet him halfway. That's what that is. Come on, meet him halfway, and we'll all see together. And he's not going to give him the job if he doesn't win it. So, that's fine. Yeah, I think that's fine. I think he also had to – I continue to say I think he had to do that publicly to give him any real chance to win the job because he had already disparaged him or spoken of him in a negative light at the very least several times since taking over as head coach. So once that happened, I think a lot of people washed their hands and moved on and said, well, it's probably not going to happen for him. But from a talent standpoint, he's in the battle without question, could win the job on talent alone. And from the standpoint of – maybe given the opportunity and buying in and all that, it appears that that's all on the plate now for him to take advantage of. And we have a legitimate quarterback battle when camp starts, and one that I would even dare say here in hour number one on our first show back in a while that he has a slight edge in, at least in the way that Willie's talking about him currently. Hour number 2 forthcoming. Stay with Jeff Cameron Show 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Smoother, bolder, sharper, comfier, smarter, fiercer, tougher, stronger, longer, greater, prouder. Gravely Zero-Turn Mowers.
In their first 3 seasons, the team has won 32 games and played in Super Bowl 51. DeMar DeRozan is now with the San Antonio Spurs. He tells ESPN's Chris Haynes why he was so upset with the trade that sent him away from Toronto.
I felt like I wasn't treated with what I sacrificed for 9 years, with the respect that I thought I deserved, by just giving me the say-so of letting me know something's going on, or it's a chance. That's all I want. I'm not saying you don't have to train me, or you just let me know something going on, because I sacrificed everything. Just let me know.
DeRozan was the 9th overall pick in the draft 9 years ago. The Red Sox make a trade with the Rays today to get right-hander Nate Eovaldi. Tampa Bay gets a minor league pitcher in return. Center fielder Starling Marte leaves the game after getting hit by a pitch on the left hand.
Broadcasting live from the AmeriGas Propane Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Number 2, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. I'm Jeff, that's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free. Always don't miss anything. You're all right if you do. You know where to find it. iTunes has it. Our website has it. I got a lot of catching up to do with emails. If you've emailed me in the last 2 weeks, I've probably seen it, but I haven't gotten back to you. JCS@979ESPNRadio.com. There's some important ones out there. Some people who want to spend money with me, Tom. I haven't even called them back yet. Those are usually the people I get to right away.
Nigerian prince.
So we've got things percolating here. Things are happening here at 97.9 ESPN Radio. We've got a lot going on and a lot to be excited about. And I'm just thinking about how we're lining up our Saturdays and lining up pregame and, in the not-too-distant future, a little listener appreciation party on the horizon.
That is correct. I talked with the sponsor of the listener appreciation party, which we'll announce in August. But it looks like everything's lining up nicely for that day, sir.
Good times, buddy. Good times. It's all happening. You know how I know that football is looming? I don't mean to make it sound ominous. When I start kind of looking at my calendar and you do the same and we're kind of moving the pieces of the puzzle, but also when I walk through the door and the look of depression is on my wife's face because that's when she doesn't see me. It's football season. It's sort of just, you're never here. You got a lot going on. I'm like, it's also when we make the most amount of money, hun. Woo!
That's I feel complex feelings about that.
I do
that
too.
sounds so sad.
It is so sweet and sad. But, we've been happily married 13 years. She'll make it. Been through a lot of football seasons. We'll be all right.
I got to say, I was talking to producer emeritus Matt Millar today, and I said, man, I'll be there for the Virginia Tech game. I'm looking forward to that. But if it's a 50-50 proposition at Doak Campbell, I can't wait to watch multiple games. So I'm just going to have to – there's so much intrigue around the country this year.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think – and that's my favorite part. The opportunity to do this show every day has always been an honor, and it's great, and I love it. I'm reminded of it frequently, but never more so than when I'm on a lengthy vacation. Because one of the things that happens is those first few days you're relieved because you get to unplug, and you get an opportunity – to kind of just hyper-focus on non-sports related content and catch up a little bit, relax, be in the moment with your family and your kids and do whatever it is you're doing. And that's great. But there's nothing like that friendly reminder by day 4 or 5 that I really like what I do. I care about the people I work with, the people I get to talk to and with every day, and the subject matter and all of that. Because around day 4 or 5 is when you start to miss the job. Like, legitimately, you say to yourself, I wouldn't mind being at work today. You're in the middle of vacation, and you'll say it. Or you'll miss an element of it. Or something will come across the wire, and you're like, oh, we could have fun with that. Oh, here's how I feel about that. Man, the world needs to know. Even though the world doesn't need to know.
It doesn't need to know at all.
But you want to. I mean, it triggers a certain thing. And that's always exciting. But to your point, this opportunity has spawned some other opportunities. And some years, quite frankly, the off season of doing anything with a Sirius XM, while really flattering and cool to do and a great opportunity, would feel, a bit cumbersome. It would be a burden. But I'll be back on the air Saturday morning, 9 to noon, College Sports Saturday, Channel 84, ESPNU, Sirius XM. I can't wait. I mean, we've now had conference meetings. We've had the opening salvos, if you will. I mean, it's happening. You know, Nick Saban is talking. Willie Taggart is talking. You go through, Jim Harbaugh is talking. You know, the different conferences and the higher profile coaches have had something to say on any number of things. Votes are in, preseason All-Americans and rankings and all that good stuff.
Well, for me, I can tell you that since I did my vacation in England in little increments, so we were in London for a day, then we went to the southeastern coast, Brighton, for 5, and then we go back to London for one more day. The second time to London, I was ready to go. When I left Brighton, I was like, okay, I've already left, so let's actually leave the country.
Get back.
So, but the cool thing was, in that last day, we went to the Winston Churchill War Rooms, which was fantastic. What an exhibit that is. It's a museum plus the war rooms, and they haven't been touched since the 40s, really, except to make them good for visitors. Anyway, I bring all that up to say what I was doing in between our little elements that Monday, these little sightseeing tours, I was mapping out my days. For the first 3 weeks of college football season, the Saturdays, I was mapping out. We've already gone through the
schedule. Yeah,
we have a broadcast schedule for the first 2 weeks because the 2 home games
shows we got to do. Yeah,
but I am mapping out how I'm going to watch college football those first 3 weeks, and I already know the good matchups. But I was looking at the time slots. I was thinking, okay, I can go out and watch these games. I could be at the house and do some chores for these games. I was ready, and we talked about it before. We went on our break that you can't wait for Florida State season to come, but I'm really just jonesing now for college football season because you go to any conference, there are 2 or 3 at least. In the SEC, there's way more because of all the coaching changes. Real storylines about the balance of power. It feels like outside of Alabama and probably Clemson too, there is a potential balance of power shift coming in the next 3 or 4 seasons.
I think the other thing about it is that in addition to the high-profile coaching shifts, again, whether you're talking about Frost leaving UCF and going to Nebraska, his alma mater, and whether or not he can get them back to relevance, or you're talking about the 6 new coaches in the SEC, or you're talking about an existing coach that has underwhelmed like Jim Harbaugh at Michigan, whatever it may be, obviously in our own backyard, Willie Taggart here, you realize those storylines are part of the greater male soap opera that we talk about. It's not a male soap opera anymore. Plenty of women love college football, but the soap opera of college football, the story, if you will, there's a lot of intriguing elements. One of them is going on, for example, today. I mean, there's stuff about the Pac-12. You think about the pitfalls of the Pac-12 and their commissioner opening up Larry Scott today saying that he feels very good about where that conference is going, and yet the members of that conference aren't so sure. The conference, lest we forget, here's a friendly reminder and the part of where we are again, kind of going back and relearning, if you will, some of the things that you knew at the end of last year but need to remind yourself of now before we enter into the new storylines. That conference finished 1-8 in the bowls last year. Now, singular bowls, one-offs, whatever, it can be what it is. You go 1-8, the worst record ever in the history of college football for any conference in the postseason. It's more than an anomaly. Your teams suck. You've got problems at that point, And so it's been an off season that has been low on enthusiasm, if you will. And now the thought is, well, maybe Washington could end all of that. And, of course, as a commissioner, Scott's going to point out that I think 9 of their 12 teams made a bowl last year. And so he's going to spin it. So you read that spin, just as you did with the Big Ten, just as we did coming off of ACC kickoff. And you put it all together, you put it in the big soup there, and you realize, man, there's a lot to take in.
Well, and how quickly things can change. That's the other thing here, too, is as coaches go, and a lot of times it does follow good coaches, conference trends. But when the college football playoffs started in 2014, the ACC was without a doubt the conference that was on the chopping block in terms of who's going to get left out.
It just took a beating.
Right. Who will get left out? It's the ACC. If Florida State doesn't do what they're supposed to do, there's no other candidate in that league. And the ACC not only has not been the last of the Power 5 conferences, they've been immune when there's been some cycles where the Big Ten has been the laughingstock, the Big 12, the Pac-12. The ACC has been consistent since the college football playoff was instituted, but that can all change in a couple of years, a couple of good hires, and the Pac-12 is back.
They've been in every playoff.
Right. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
And so, you look around and you look at the Big 12 and you go, well, Oklahoma and nobody.
Right. Yeah, Texas maybe in a year.
We'll see.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
Big 12 is interesting.
But then the Big Ten was laughable a couple of seasons ago, and then last year, specifically 2017, you go, well, the Big Ten does have a lot of candidates, and if Michigan ever gets its act together, then that might be something to rival the SEC. Meanwhile, Clemson is just steady making it every year now, it seems. But it all can change in 2 months' time. You're in November, and the reality of college football is completely different than it was in the preseason. And this year, there's more potential for that, I feel like, than in most seasons.
And add to that mix something we have talked about a lot. I don't want to pretend that we've just glossed over it, but the rules changes. I mean, getting to true freshmen being able to play in 4 games, 4 full games, any 4 games you want is really cool on a lot of levels. It impacts strategy. It impacts, obviously, your depth and quality of depth. But the opportunity that it provides certain high-profile 5-star kids that you get to bring in and maybe put into action sooner than you thought possible with the new rule. And, I mean, how is it going to affect quarterback play? You know, I love the idea. Now, we're not in that situation this year, but in a situation where you have a Fields or something like that come to your program and you've got an existing starter, you now know you're in a position you can play a guy 4 games. That's interesting. You know, let's say Lawrence doesn't win the job up at Clemson. How many games does he play in? When do they play him? How quickly does he get in? Does he shine and cause a quarterback controversy?
Well, does it create a quarterback controversy in, say, November if you're playing, a low-level division opponent? But now there's no fear
out there. Yeah,
there's no fear of burning the shirt because there's, the number of games is set. I think it's also interesting, too, because it's almost like a trial without having to worry about repercussions of putting the kid through the fire. So you get into October, and you're in conference season, somebody goes down, and you could either play your 5th-year senior who's okay, but you've got somebody with a higher ceiling that's 18 years old. Well, that opportunity would never have happened before. You can play him in that moment. It doesn't cost you a thing. And if you need to burn his shirt, you know why? It's because it's a happy accident.
Yeah,
the kid's really good. And now I don't care about the 4-game rule, but the opportunity is unique. It's unique to the last, decades of college football.
It serves as an incentive, too, for so many kids. I mean, the opportunity, if you do everything you're supposed to do, you're going to class, you're working hard, you're digesting the playbook, you're learning, you're showing improvement every day in practice. It doesn't go without being noticed or without, more importantly, reward. Kids can check out pretty easily when they know they have no chance to get on the football field. It's easy to do because every day you're in practice and you're working awfully hard and you're putting yourself through the rigors, but there is no reward on a Saturday. Your friends and family and, more importantly, you don't get the opportunity to be seen and go out there and play and showcase a little bit of what you got. There's nothing like a game. There's nothing like a game. Doesn't matter who it's against. It can't be replicated. And so now let's say you're Amari Gainer and they're not sure what to do with you. They're not sure, gosh, he's talented and he may be good enough to really contribute right off the bat, but I don't know. You can play that kid now. You're going to give him opportunities, and you can do it in 4 games without worrying about burning the shirt.
Well, look at Boston College as an opponent. Isn't that the style of opponent where you want to give him a tryout of sorts in November? I mean, maybe for a drive or two, but it doesn't matter anymore.
Maybe.
No, but what I'm saying is it doesn't matter anymore about his shirt status. You put him in for a drive, and that's an opponent that's going to run right at you. So we think he's tough enough, but he's not good enough in pass coverage yet, but we're going to put him in a position where he can just make some noise at the line of scrimmage. Is he a limited player? Yes, but you know what? He's a role player we can use in November, so let's make sure we save a game for then.
There'll be guys that are maybe one-dimensional. We've all seen them recently come into programs at defensive end or whatever it might be. I'll use that as an example. They don't have the requisite size to set the edge consistently in the run game, but they have blazing speed off the edge, and they could be, in year 1, a difference maker on 3rd and obvious, any sort of very obvious passing downs. You could let them pin their ears and get after a quarterback. And so there are times where you think to yourself, well, this kid's not all the way ready, but this is a game where we're going to need to get after this quarterback, or he's the right kind of athlete we have here, so I'm going to put him in this situation. Or in some cases, you have spies against your really mobile quarterbacks, and you have a freak athlete who's able to change directions and is a 4-3 guy, and you say, undersized against the run game here, but I need a spy because this guy, they utilize their quarterback a lot in the run game. I mean, these are all things coaches can be thinking about, and it's another aspect of what we've talked about this offseason that raises the level of intrigue for the upcoming year because it's a strategic thing too. It's not just, hey, good job, kid. Here's your reward. You're getting in these games. I could properly utilize. This guy doesn't know our offense the way I need him to know it. But you know what he does know? That he can run a 4.3 40 in a straight line, and he's 6'5" and can jump. Go. We're running a 9. Go. I'm putting you in now. Go.
Right, yeah.
I mean, there you go.
For our 2 FCS games, I'm not going to release him in routes. I'm going to let him block. So the film says all he is a blocker.
Whatever.
I know something you don't know.
Yeah.
But it also is for, beyond strategy, it's also a great carrot to dangle because the kids are going to work that much harder because the opportunity could be any week, even if they're 3rd or 4th in the depth chart, because they know certain situations might merit certain opportunities. And I don't have to wait till the week we play Samford or Chattanooga or whoever. Yeah. It's a great carrot to dangle for even those kids that may not actually be called upon because you just don't know.
Yeah, I thought for a while, since they announced that, I should say, it hadn't been that long, but since they've announced it, I've been pumped for that. I really, the transfer rule, you get caught up in the weeds, whatever. I mean, anything that benefits the kids and it gives them greater opportunity to come and go as they please, as long as they've done what they've supposed to do while they were at that school. Of course, it goes without saying, I'm for that, but that's a boring conversation. Playing time, 4 games. Oh, hell yes, let's go. I'm bringing in this guy at quarterback next year. Let me see him now. Let me see him against Samford. Let me see him against some of these lesser foes, and I get an idea of what he's like.
Well, and you've increased the chances. You could be saying at your radio, guys, well, how's this different from before? A lot of it's the same. A lot of players would get opportunities against a Samford, and they could be true freshmen, and it doesn't matter.
But it was a percentage of snaps and all of that. Yeah, this is full on.
4 games is a third of the season versus, a small percentage of snaps. So you can plot it out on a map and say this kid is perfect.
The last 4 games if you want. The last 4
in sequence and fully,
and let him play the whole thing,
start to finish.
It's crazy. Yeah. Jeff Cameron Show 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Smoother, bolder, sharper, comfier, smarter, fiercer, tougher, stronger, longer, greater, prouder. Gravely Zero-Turn Mowers.
Certain kind of lemon lime experience. But why settle for this when you could have this? You want a fist bump that ends in one of those fake explosions?
Hey, Charles.
or a fist bump that ends in an actual explosion.
Hey, Charles.
Want to pull up to the party on this? Or arrive in this? Take this last second shot? Or make the last second shot? Make this musical request? Or this one? So yeah, you can keep drinking the same old, but we think you'll like the exploding fist bump, last second shot, showing up to the party properly way to lemon lime, right? Mountain Dew Ice. Clear, refreshing lemon lime, redefined.
It's no secret around here. I like things my way. My way keeps our customers happy. My way keeps us on budget. My way keeps this place running. And my way means ordering from Grainger. They've got what we need when we need it. With simplified checkout, dedicated customer reps, and knowledgeable product experts, I can order online, on the phone, or at a branch the way I like it. My way. When it comes to effortless ordering, Grainger's got your back. Call, click Grainger.com, or stop by to see for yourself. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The vast majority of us push through aches and pains that tend to get worse as months and years go by, but it doesn't have to be this way. I'm Dr. Rob, and at HealthSource Chiropractic of Tallahassee, we use evidence-based, proven methods to get to the cause of your aches and pains before they become real problems that force you to miss out on important things in your life, like playing with your kids or grandkids, throwing a frisbee at the park, swinging a golf club, or simply enjoying the game on those hard benches at the ball field. Call HealthSource Chiropractic today at 877-8980.
Deck season rolls around every year. Staining your deck shouldn't. That's why the Home Depot now carries #1 rated Olympic stains, including Olympic Maximum from only $33.98 a gallon. It's a brand trusted for over 80 years to protect season after season. So do it right with Olympic. And next year, you won't have to do it at all. Olympic Stain, for the first time at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. #1 rating from an independent consumer study, U.S. only. See store for details.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Gonna be time for a little who's hot, who's cold. Which is always a good thing. Especially since I know somebody that's hot. All right, cue it up.
It's time for Who's Hot?
It's so damn hot.
Who's Cold?
Looks like she's gonna turn cold tomorrow.
Oh yeah, got a front coming in.
Yeah, you got that right.
Who's hot, who's cold? Brought to you by our friends at Barano Heating and Air Conditioning. Love my friends at Barano. You know what I'm going to do? I haven't told you about this, Tom. This is an aside. By the way, if you're in need of a new air conditioning unit or even maintenance on your current, if you're saying to yourself, it's just not cold enough, call my friends at Barano. Always. Barano Heating and Air Conditioning. Yes.
Unseasonably warm summer in Brighton, no air conditioning. I was never so happy to return home for that specific reason. It was 79 to 85 degrees in my room each night.
It's a bit much.
It was a little bit much.
79 you could live with if there's a breeze coming through or something, but 80.
They have restricted windows.
What is that about? Are they worried about people jumping?
Seagulls. They got a seagull problem in Brighton.
Issues with the seagulls.
You talk about sweating with no covers while sleeping. Barano would have fixed it in a jiff, though. I promise you.
Right there, they would have been saying, "What's wrong with you, England? Let's get this together." So, hey, what I was going to tell you is my friend over there at Barano Heating and Air Conditioning, Patrick, you know, this isn't a secret. A lot of people know I'm not a big gun guy. It's not my thing. And but I will say I've shot at a target before. I've done that once before, ages ago.
You mean we're talking hunting?
No, I don't. I'm not a hunter.
Yeah,
I don't hunt.
Yeah,
no. I mean, you're perfectly free to go hunt, but it's just not my thing. So, but he said that I would enjoy skeet shooting.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks that I would enjoy skeet shooting. And I said, I think I would. Shooting clay pigeons or whatever that is, I think that would be a lot of fun. I would imagine it is. So me and my buddy from Barano, I think we're going to go shoot some skeets. Is that what they're called?
The clay pigeons.
Yeah, the clay pigeons. I think we're going to do that. I think we're going to go skeet shooting.
It is a blast. It really is.
It sounds like fun to me, and
Yes.
it's about the only time I'd ever use a gun.
Yeah.
So there you go. Yeah.
Make sure you hold the gun where they say to hold the gun, or else
Oh,
you're gonna
I'm
burn
not-
your hand off. You know.
Yeah. No, I'm not. Listen.
Also, wear the shirt with the pad in the shoulder because it will break your blood vessels.
Oh, yeah?
Oh yeah. So my brother-in-law, that's what we did for the
went
the
skeet
bachelor day
shooting,
before the It was like generations of people going out.
Just out there shooting clay.
It was a great time.
It looks like fun to me. I've always thought that looked fun. So
It's easy when it's next to you and they shoot the clay pigeon away from you. But when it comes towards you, it's a little bit tougher.
Not unlike a line drive. In baseball, the hardest ball to catch is the one, if you're in the outfield, that is right at you and just below that sight line, the light line, a little bit above your head, and you got to decide whether to go back on it or not.
In middle school, if you hit a line drive right at me, I play center.
There's a good chance you're going to wear it.
Well, the sun was there. It was just that time of day, so you had to burn your eyeballs to make the catch.
All right, who's hot, who's cold? Here you go. Boston Red Sox, you're going to get put behind the more sizzling Pittsburgh Pirates. We'll start with the Buccos, who did fall today 4-0. Sat a lot of starters today. We sat a lot of starters. We had a couple get hurt. So really the Indians beat a team that was playing with their arm tied behind their back, and it's a good thing for the Indians because we were just beating their ass on the regular. Starling Marte got hurt today, owns a career-high 17-game hit streak prior to today. The Pirates have rattled off prior to today 11 straight wins. Felipe Vasquez has quietly been one of the best closers in baseball, converting 23 saves and giving up 1 home run all season long. Yeah, he was that last year, too, when we acquired him. He's a good player. He
You
throws
knew
hard.
you had something there.
Yeah, I did. I mean, watching him throw, he throws 100 miles
Yeah.
per hour. He's no joke, and he's got filthy stuff. You can't hit him. People are made to look stupid against him.
Well, and it's the funny thing, we've talked about this before, but you said he throws 100 miles an hour. In my head, I go, so what? Everybody does. But filthy stuff.
Filthy stuff.
With 100?
Filthy. It's just wrong what he throws. When you watch him, you're like, oh, this is ridiculous. You got no chance. Okay, the Red Sox, on to them. They're also hot. The Sox are Major League Baseball's best offensive team. There's no question about that, holding a .459 slugging percentage and a .795 ops. Mookie Betts. Woo, Mookie Betts. 6.5 WAR on the year, 351, 24, 25 home runs, just nuts. JD Martinez, yes, sir. Number 1 and number 3 in hitting average/OPS over 1,000. He's got over 30 home runs.
Yeah, 31, I think, to right field last night at Camden
Twice.
Yards. Yeah.
He's really good. Dodgers, Matt Kemp. Man, there's a guy I know who said during draft night, we should grab Matt Kemp late. Seems like that'd be a good pick. What a year. 317, 63 RBIs. He's got to be chuckling. Max Muncy, 23 home runs, 998 OPS.
Was that your suggestion?
It was.
Well, he was great last year for the Braves. You could probably have seen that coming.
Well, he has been MVP great this year with the Dodgers.
Yep.
2 of the main components in the Dodgers reclaiming first place in the NL West. Ross Stripling has been an unexpected surprise in the rotation, 114 Ks in 100 innings.
What did you think of last night? Did you see what they did in the 16th? They threw Kike Hernandez and said, you know what, that's the end of it.
I was asleep.
Well, I was watching today.
It was a 3-run home run or something? Is that what happened?
It was a walk-off of some kind.
Yeah.
He wasn't able to hit the strike zone with any regularity.
Oops.
You're right, as a position player might be, but it's a tie ball game, and
Yeah.
you've got a day
They just
game
decided,
today.
They decided to concede the game?
They decided to lose, yes.
That's a weird thing.
Yeah.
Seattle, the Mariners have lost 7 of their last teams. This would be the key teams under the cold category. I can't speak category. We've been off for a little while. First misstep there. Mariners have lost 7 of their last 10 games, including getting swept in Colorado. Their pitching has been mediocre, 15th in Major League Baseball, boasting a .399, and opponents are hitting .250 off of them. Not good. Brewers, they've lost 7 of their last 10 games, including getting swept by division foe Pittsburgh. We beat the Brewers about the hands and face and head and neck. It was awful what we did to the Brewers. It was it was cruel and unusual.
I don't even recognize Bernie anymore.
Oh, the Brewers just took an ass kicking every day. Lost 5 straight to the Buccos, just getting a beating.
That's not the son I knew.
And finally, the Angels have lost 7 of their last 10 games, falling to 2 games under 500. Justin Upton hasn't been good. Albert Pujols hasn't been good for a long time now, by the way. And the Angels rank 17th offensively in Major League Baseball, and that's a look at who's hot, who's cold. And my friends at Barano Heating and Air Conditioning, whom I'll be shooting skeets with soon. I can't wait. I got to pick a day. I got to pick it before football. I don't know why, but I think I'm going to be good at this.
Is there a range around? Or
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think we're doing it in the backyard. That would seem to be illegal. I would think that
we're going to Doak.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've been invited out to do this. I will look like a fish out of water. There's no doubt. I
think you should show up with camo pants and boots and then put on,
wear the outfit?
The full military long sleeve shirt, that you see like the mercenaries wear.
Like shooting glasses.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like
the ones with the American flag. Yeah, Remember that? They'll send you the American flag.
Ridiculous. Like
that is so well marketed, by the way.
In the American flag as is. They play on people's fears and stupidity. It's great. Jeff Cameron, Show 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Smoother, bolder, sharper, comfier, smarter, fiercer, tougher, stronger, longer, greater, prouder. Gravely Zero-Turn Mowers.
Superlube. With 19 area locations, there's probably one right around the corner right now.
How I love to Superlube my car. Yes, sir.
It's back, the 14th annual Sea Quarters Marina Youth Fishing Tournament. The tournament will be taking place on Saturday, July 21st from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. The tournament will be free and open to all kids 16 and under. The first 125 kids registered will receive a free rod and reel, shirt, and visor. Trophies will be awarded to the first 3 places in each fishing category. All kids must attend a fishing clinic with a parent or guardian at the marina on Friday, July 20th at 6 p.m. You can register at Sea Quarters Marina, 501 St. James Avenue, Highway 98, Carabel, 697-8400.
You know what? It's time you level up your lemon lime with clear, refreshing Mountain Dew Ice. We get it. You're used to a certain kind of lemon lime experience. But why settle for this when you could have this? You want a fist bump that ends in one of those fake explosions?
Hey, Charles.
Or a fist bump that ends in an actual explosion?
Hey, Charles.
Want to pull up to the party on this? Or arrive in this? Take this last-second shot? Or make the last-second shot? Make this musical request? Or this one? So yeah, you can keep drinking the same old, but we think you'll like the exploding fist bump, last-second shot, showing up to the party properly way to lemon lime, right? Mountain Dew Ice. Clear, refreshing lemon lime, redefined.
And we're back with another edition of Spring Cleaning. Today, we want to know how you save energy, water, and money during the warmer season. Caller, you're on the air. What do you do to save energy?
With the warmer temperature, I know my AC is working overtime, so I make sure to replace my AC filter once a month.
Excellent suggestion. Next caller, you're on the air.
Well, the city of Tallahassee recommends that I take advantage of their grants and loans to get more installation in my attic.
that's really going to keep my cooling costs down.
These are some great suggestions. There are lots of ways to save. Caller, you're on the air.
I reduce energy for water heating by lowering my water heater temperature and installing low-flow shower heads.
We have time for one more caller. What do you have for us?
I make sure to use my programmable thermostat to regulate the temperature in my home when I'm away.
Thank you, caller. That's all the time we have today.
The City of Tallahassee Utilities would like to help you save as much energy as you can and save money while you're at it. Visit talgov.com for more information and start saving energy today.
Summer is heating up, and so are the Makita deals at Cornerstone Tool and Fastener. Purchase a brushless premium 5-amp-hour hammer drill impact kit and receive your choice of a free bare tool and a free 6-amp-hour battery. That's a $260 value free. Makita introduces one battery, one tool for all your outdoor power equipment needs. Buy a commercial-grade Makita shafted string trimmer and add any other attachment, plus receive a matching blower free. A $189 value for free. Cornerstone Tool and Fastener with 2 locations to choose from: 1110 Stuckey Ave and 3269 Crawfordville Highway.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown. Colts quarterback Andrew Luck hasn't played in a game in almost 19 months, but Coach Frank Reich says Luck will play in the team's preseason opener against the Seahawks. Luck missed all of last season after surgery on his right shoulder. 22 NFL teams, including the Colts, will hold their first training camp practices tomorrow. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports for the second year in a row, Rams defensive end Aaron Donald is a training camp holdout. Donald did not report today. He's the reigning NFL Defensive Player of the Year and entering the last season of his rookie contract. Falcons coach Dan Quinn and GM Thomas Dimitroff each get 3-year contract extensions today. They're now both signed until 2022. In their first 3 seasons, the team has won 32 games and played in Super Bowl 51. DeMar DeRozan is now with the San Antonio Spurs. He tells ESPN's Chris Haynes why he was so upset with the trade that sent him away from Toronto.
I felt like I wasn't treated with what I sacrificed for 9 years, with the respect that I thought I deserved. By just giving me the say-so of letting me know something's going on, or it's a chance. That's all I want. I'm not saying you don't have to train me, or you just let me know something going on, because I sacrificed everything. Just let me know.
DeRozan was the 9th overall pick in the draft 9 years ago. The Red Sox make a trade with the Rays today to get right-hander Nate Eovaldi. Tampa Bay gets a minor league pitcher in return. Center fielder Starling Marte leaves the game after getting hit by a pitch on the left hand.
Broadcasting live from the AmeriGas Propane Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
I can tell you haven't been sleeping well. I'm here for you. The problem you're having, you're not having an existential crisis. Your pillow sucks. You need a new pillow. So come get my pillow. My pillow is comfy. I've got a pillow as given to me by My Pillow, the fine people at My Pillow. That I have slept on since the day we agreed to the deal.
Well, that is transparent on your part.
And you know what? I like it. I still sleep on it. I could come in here and lie about that, but I'm not. I do sleep on it. Lest you don't believe me, I will take a picture of me sleeping on that or have my wife do so at some point so you can see me sleeping on my pillow.
Just from the shoulder up, the way you sleep is not
true.
safe for these photos.
So right now they've got their best offer. It's a buy one, get one free. That doesn't suck. I know when I'm at Publix, anything that's buy one, get one, I get, even if I don't need it. I go, look at that, paper clips are buy one, get one, and I grab them. And I haven't needed a paperclip in eons.
You didn't need the first one.
No. But it's buy one, get one. So if you want to lock in now to MyPillow's buy one, get one free special, do it. Go to MyPillow.com, and it's the buy one, get one special. Just make sure that when you click on that thing, the buy one, get one free special, use my code 979ESPN. You'll get one free pillow when you buy one at a regular price at MyPillow.com, so long as you use the promo code 979ESPN. Or you can call 800-944-6596. Be sure to use promo code 979ESPN. Woohoo! Lethal Simplicity tweets at me and says, Talon Range has 2 or 3 skeet bays. It's the best in town on anywhere around, now that I think about it. I have a feeling you'll be awful, though. I don't think that's fair just because I'm not a big gun guy. Maybe I don't have any bad habits.
There it is.
Maybe I'll walk in there and say, tell me what to do, and I'll do it. I won't freelance because I don't trust myself. Besides, if you're shooting guns, you can't freelance. Right?
No, I wouldn't think so.
Watch this, Bobby. I'm going to freelance. But, you know.
You see that support beam over there?
I bet I can ricochet. So, at Jay Cameron Show, I love that FSU is planning on building a $65 million 3-story football-only facility. Sounds like a giant middle finger to Jimbo in the state he left this program in. It also shows the standards and changes that Coach Tagg is making at Florida State. Well, yes and no. It's great that they're going to do this, but they were always going to do this. And my frustration with Jimbo was much more to do with the fact that he absolutely knew that this was going to happen at some point, and yet framed it as if he was desperately pleading for it to get done and nobody would hear him. And that's what he made it sound like publicly, and that was disingenuous. It was BS, and he was wrong for that. And that's why I took issue with it from day one. A, it was utilized to deflect from a sorry-ass season with a program that was in complete disarray, and B, it simply wasn't accurate. They may have disagreed as to how they were going to go about the process of raising the money and where they were going to put it, and some other factors that you work out behind the scenes, not in public, with those that you work with on a daily basis. That's what you do. You come to a compromise. You figure out a way to make it work. Not everything has to be such a damn fight. And so that was my problem. But they were always going to do this.
My question is, would it have been $65 million, and would it have been a standalone? Or would they have fought him tooth and nail for every dollar?
I don't know. I don't know, but I think it would have gotten done. I think they would have gone through this process. I know they would have gone through this process where they would have had an outside group come in. They would have given them the various costs. Here's what it is if you want this. Here's what it is if you want this. They would have sat back and figured out the best way to go about this. Everything doesn't have to be like pulling teeth, man. And what had happened is things had gotten so, I think, adversarial between he and Andy and others that there was just no backing down.
But I guess that's the point I'm getting to is, could Jimbo have inspired enough to raise $65 million for the project? Or was he inspirational to the degree that it was only 40 or 45? And I'm not saying I necessarily care about the final price tag. All I care about really in the end is that if this is done and it's committed to and we're paying for it and they're going to start, breaking ground and whatever in the short term, Willie went to bat for a standalone. This is one of the issues that he took up very strongly when he was in Amelia Island. He went so far as to say...
timing was right there, too.
Right. You don't need a small fix. I don't need,
You didn't want Band-Aids.
I don't want Band-Aids. I want a real thing. I love this because if Willie fails, it doesn't matter. They're not putting that back in the ground.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're not.
That standalone will be sitting there.
That standalone will be sitting there, and that's a new toy for the program. So
they're also, by the way, as part of that, they're also going to be making additions to the more, and they're doing a lot of things.
So no matter what happens, if you need to go back to the well in 2 or 3 years because this thing didn't work, the next coach has more to work with. And that's really, at the end of the day, all I care about is how many toys and gadgets and gizmos does the coach at Florida State have to work with to compete with other schools?
Yeah.
if the margin for TV money is going to be significant, you've got to build up now so we can at least give ourselves a fighting chance.
Yeah, I like that it's more expensive and more elaborate than the one Clemson has. That's kind of petty I am. It's in your own division. Everything else is whatever. I mean, it's in your own division.
We have a crossbow laser tag. There you go.
There
Think
you
about
get
that.
some of that. Who doesn't want to play crossbow laser tag? Admittedly, crossbows in general are just pretty badass. I mean, I've always thought it.
I've completely made that up, but that would be pretty sweet, wouldn't it?
I think it would be great. Yeah. That's another thing that, again, I'm not a big weapons guy, but I've always thought I'd wanted to shoot a crossbow. Not really at anything but a target, but I do. I want to shoot a crossbow.
Just like a trunk of a tree and watch it split a little bit?
Well, I mean, I would like to see if I could hit the red dot. I would like to actually, at a target, a legitimate target.
Oh, man, target practice is awesome, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
As long as it's a target, you know?
That's fun when you're on the golf range, just, driving range, just hitting targets.
That's Topgolf. That's how they made millions of dollars.
No, it doesn't suck. Hey, so we have a pair of tickets to give away right now for wrestling this Saturday. Our friends at the Tucker Center, TLCCC, as I like to call it. They don't call it that anymore, but that's what we call it affectionately here on the show. 523-3776. Caller 2, pair of tickets. We got wrestling. Braun Strowman's going to be there.
And there's
That's
also
a big dude.
That is a big dude.
Yeah.
We have a second prize if you don't win those tickets.
Oh, yeah?
And you happen to be caller number 5.
Woo!
You get Ron White tickets.
Boom! The
There you
comedian
go.
Ron White loves to sip on the scotch.
He'll be
or
here
whiskey,
months from
whatever
now,
it is. Yeah.
but you'll have tickets for that
Many
event.
moons from now, Ron White will be here. It's almost like the biannual Joe Manassa, not Joe Manassa.
Well, we love Joe.
No,
MANAUSA.com. And start packing.
I can't even go where I was going because you made me laugh. That's well done. Chef Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Smoother, bolder, sharper, comfier, smarter, fiercer, tougher, stronger, longer, greater, prouder. Gravely Zero-Turn Mowers.
Whether it's dry cleaning or just plain laundry, Wash Around the Clock's Easy Laundry service will pick up and deliver at your home or office. So sign up for free today at easylaundry.net, or you can give them a call, 850-597-9007. Again, sign up today at easylaundry.net. Oh, and by the way, I got you. Use promo code JCS20 and save 20%. That's promo code JCS20. You're saving 20% on your first order. That's easylaundry.net from Wash Around the Clock.
Hi, Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan. In Tallahassee, you have been fantastic. We have passed the halfway point to a new transport van for Big Bend Hospice. By my calculation, we still need 55 more new Nissans by the end of the month to reach our goal. And seriously, it is a great time to buy a new Nissan from Kraft. We have 0% interest for 60 months on every new Nissan, and the best incentives we've ever had. Listen up, Kraft Nissan has $5,000 off of 2018 Rogues, Altimas, Muranos, Maximas, and Pathfinders. You heard right, $5,000 off of 2018 Rogues, Altimas, Muranos, Maximas, and Pathfinders. You get a great price on a new Kraft Nissan, and you're helping a great cause in hospice. And remember, Kraft Nissan is donating $100 to the Big Bend Hospice for every new Nissan sold now through July 31st. Not in the market for a new car? Stop by Kraft and we will match your personal check up to $100 made out to the Big Bend Hospice. This hospice transport van is that important. 55 and counting. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco.
At Superlube, we pride ourselves on keeping your car maintained properly with our 20-point inspection. And right now at Superlube, take advantage of our half-price fuel system cleaning service to help restore engine performance and enhance gas mileage. Superlube offers quick and convenient service, and you'll never need an appointment. So come into Superlube today, get your oil changed, and a whole lot more. Superlube, with 19 area locations, there's probably one right around the corner right now.
How I love to Superlube my car. Yes, sir.
Broadcasting live from the AmeriGas Propane Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
To our friends at Cornerstone Tool and Fastener. Who am I? I'm going to see them on Friday. I'm going over there. And they're, of course, a title sponsor on the Jeff Cameron Show. We thank them, and we love them at Cornerstone Tool and Fastener.
I just love their website because it's unique. If we can do this, why don't we? CTF.NU? I mean, I've never heard of a website such as that, but sure enough, it'll take you to Cornerstone Tool and Fastener.
Well, I'm going to be there looking at the all the various equipment pieces there that I could utilize to improve my lawn and all that other good stuff, and maybe the tools necessary to help fix some things around the house. I'm going over there on Friday. They're having a big event. It's a big to-do all day long. I'm sure all of Tallahassee will be there. And I'm going to go over in the morning and get the walkthrough and the get me up to speed speech and all that, and we're gonna be joined at the hip. Good times.
Well, you'll be able to tell people about the experience then, which is good, more than just the finer talking points and locations.
I want the experience of being told, here is a brand new riding lawnmower for you, Jeff. Make sure you tell everybody about that. I will, Ron.
You know that England has its own version of The Price is Right?
I'm sure it's great.
In the 70s, they were running replays on it, of it, and if you thought 70s television in the States was chauvinistic, oh my God.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously Benny Hill, right? I mean, dun, 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 he's just chasing around women.
Right.
That's what that show was. I mean, that's how that worked.
But the Barker Beauties used to give Bob a kiss before the show started, but this guy would line up all 6 of them, and then they would all do it, and then he would say something snide.
Yeah, Bob Barker would get the kiss from the Barker Beauties, and then he'd tell you to make sure you spay and neuter your pets, and then he'd go backstage and grope their butts, as he was accused of repeatedly. Bob was just like, hey, everybody.
Without going overboard.
Article today for those that would be interested, and I don't think it's that big a reach. At 23, this is the headline, Jonathan Jones article, Sports Illustrated. At 23, Jalen Ramsey is the best cornerback in football. Now what? And it's interesting because we talked about the combination of size and speed and length and attitude when he was here. And what would he be when he got to the pros? And every now and then you see a guy and you go, well, that's going to work. There's no chance that doesn't work unless he gets hurt. It's going to work. And old Sassy.
You sassy bitch.
Has made it work.
We didn't know how, though, if we're going back and looking at the evaluations.
Other than he manhandled people and put his hands on them at the line of scrimmage, because he's quick enough that you're not going to be able to get off the line all that well, and he disrupts routes all the time.
We just weren't certain if he was going to be a slot player or an outside player, but he can do just about
he's
anything.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
And he is just getting started. Jalen is not devoid of confidence either, and also he is that. He does. He's a guy that comes to the sideline and looks as if he has just stepped in a big bucket of sass, and is
You sassy
really not afraid to let you know about it. But I mean, again, he is. What I think is interesting about the story is they're talking about him getting more involved in his branding. We're well on our way to having another Florida State corner who...
Yep. It's going to annoy the hell out of people.
But it's going to be dominant. Is going to be a dominant player.
My cleat and my sock is soaked with sassy.
He ought to do it. He ought to do it. Hey, next hour, I'll replay that interview I had with Willie Taggart from the ACC kickoff. That's coming up next. Stay with us. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Smoother, bolder, sharper, comfier, smarter, fiercer, tougher, stronger, longer, greater, prouder. Gravely zero-turn mowers.
Give you 20/20 vision, but let me tell you something, folks. You can't fix stupid.
November 8th, Donald L. Tucker Civic Center. Tickets on sale Friday at 10 a.m. Online at tuckerciviccenter.com or at the Donald L. Tucker Civic Center box office. Produced by AEG Presents for mature audiences.
Hey folks, Dierks Bentley here. If you've seen one of my concerts, you know I'm all about energy. Performing, recording, traveling, being a husband and a father, it's a busy life, and I need to be 100% every day. So when my battery starts running low, I grab a sugar-free, vitamin-packed 5-hour energy shot. It tastes great, and it gets me back to 100% fast. Try it. It could work for your busy life, too. For more information, visit 5hourenergy.com.
And we're back with another edition of Spring Cleaning. Today, we want to know how you save energy, water, and money during a warmer season. Caller, you're on the air. What do you do to save energy?
With the warmer temperature, I know my AC is working overtime, so I make sure to replace my AC filter once a month.
Excellent suggestion. Next caller, you're on the air.
Well, the city of Tallahassee recommends that I take advantage of their grants and loans to get more installation in my attic. That's really going to keep my cooling costs down.
These are some great suggestions. There are lots of ways to save. Caller, you're on the air.
I reduce energy for water heating by lowering my water heater temperature and installing low-flow shower heads.
We have time for one more caller. What do you have for us?
I make sure to use my programmable thermostat to regulate the temperature in my home when I'm away.
Thank you, caller. That's all the time we have today.
The City of Tallahassee Utilities would like to help you save as much energy as you can and save money while you're at it. Visit talgov.com for more information and start saving energy today.
Driving every day from the AmeriGas studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee. ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown. Colts quarterback Andrew Luck hasn't played in a game in almost 19 months, but Coach Frank Reich says Luck will play in the team's preseason opener against the Seahawks. Luck missed all of last season after surgery on his right shoulder. 22 NFL teams, including the Colts, will hold their first training camp practices tomorrow. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports for the second year in a row, Rams defensive end Aaron Donald is a training camp holdout. Donald did not report today. He's the reigning NFL Defensive Player of the Year and entering the last season of his rookie contract. Falcons coach Dan Quinn and GM Thomas Dimitroff each get 3-year contract extensions today. They're now both signed until 2022. In their first 3 seasons, the team has won 32 games and played in Super Bowl 51. DeMar DeRozan is now with the San Antonio Spurs. He tells ESPN's Chris Haynes why he was so upset with the trade that sent him away from Toronto.
I felt like I wasn't treated with what I sacrificed for 9 years, with the respect that I thought I deserved. By just giving me the say-so of letting me know something's going on or it's a chance. That's all I want. I'm not saying you don't have to trade me or you just let me know something going on because I sacrificed everything. Just let me know.
DeRozan was the 9th overall pick in the draft 9 years ago. The Red Sox make a trade with the Rays today to get right-hander Nate Eovaldi. Tampa Bay gets a minor league pitcher in return. Center fielder Starling Marte leaves the game after getting hit by a pitch on the left hand.
Broadcasting live from the AmeriGas Propane Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Final hour of the Jeff Cameron Show, at least for today. Great to be back with you. Those of you hopping into that vehicle, hang in there. It's hot. Get that air going. Come on. You'll be all right. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free. Always don't miss anything. Sometimes you miss something. When that happens, all 3 hours get posted every day upon the conclusion of the program, both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. Email the show if you like. It's jcs at 979espnradio.com. On Twitter, it's at jcameron.show. WTSM app for mobile devices. Doesn't matter if that's an Android or iPhone. And we're on YouTube. We're also on Periscope on Twitter. If you go to at 979ESPN Radio and follow, you can Periscope the program on YouTube. It's just ESPN Tallahassee. So, welcome back from England, Thomas, yet again, and let's discuss, because we're going to replay the Willie Taggart interview here pretty shortly for those that didn't get a chance to hear it in the 3 o'clock hour. And for the purposes of catching up, it's a little weird for me because yesterday I did do Seminole Headlines, which will air tomorrow, and we kind of went over some of these issues. But as a full-on JCS, this is the first we've had an opportunity to do it. So I should note that, of course, Florida State, according to a poll of 148 media members who were in Charlotte for the ACC kickoff, Clemson is obviously expected to win the conference yet again, and there were no surprises there. They received 139 of the 148 ballots cast. Miami got 5 votes. NC State received 2, which is laughable because they had 500 people go in the NFL draft last year and still lost 4 games, so I don't know what they're doing there. By the way, their quarterback is very good. I did interview him. He is not lacking in confidence.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you'll enjoy this game if, in fact, we're allowed to pin our ears back a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll get into that another time, but yeah, that guy.
Really? I did not hear that interview. That was one of the ones I have yet to.
You'll like it, actually. I mean, it wasn't a bad interview. He's fine. He's not lacking confidence. There's no doubt about that. And I think as a quarterback, I suppose you got to have that trait, but it's not becoming.
Oh, well, sometimes you love it.
If it's done right.
This is not done right.
No.
Oh.
But they received 2 first-place votes, which is comical. Dave Doran is still their coach.
He probably forged a couple and threw them in there.
He just, yeah, you think so? Florida State, Virginia Tech each got a vote. I don't know how you'd be picking Virginia Tech. Now, conversely, I just talked to you about one guy that doesn't come across real well. I'll tell you who does. Jackson. Their quarterback is smart, interesting, enjoyable to sit across from and talk to, and if I could have let that conversation go on longer, I would have. Josh Jackson, it is a good thing for Virginia Tech that he's eligible and ready to go. He's a nice kid, a smart kid, a self-aware kid, and I thought he was thoughtful. You could see when you asked him a question, he took the time to contemplate what you were asking, thought about his answer. He did a great job. That guy is he's silky smooth.
Well, and he's also been in, the fire before.
Games. Yeah.
Exactly. Last year to start as a freshman against West Virginia, right in the backyard of both schools, and it's in 65, 70,000 people screaming their heads off. You played Clemson last year. It was are they good enough? Are they not? Obviously, the answer was no. You play Miami on the road, and that was a hornet's nest by that point in the season.
That turned out to be a terrible night. Yeah.
It was a terrible night, but all the experience in the world, it won't be foreign to him, the atmosphere at Doak Campbell, and if he was not available, then you could just ink it that Florida State was going to win the game, but not anymore because he's at least capable.
And he's looking forward to it. Let me just say that. I thought we'll play that interview as we get closer to that game, but he was really excited. He basically said, I'm a college football fan. I grew up watching the games and the traditions, and I'm excited to be in Doak Campbell Stadium on a Monday night. Who wouldn't be? I mean, you got to love it. He loves the idea of seeing the pregame. He actually said in the interview, I hope they'll let us be out there. Sometimes our coaches won't let us be out there while the home team's doing their thing. But he wants to be there to see Chief Osceola, and he talked all about it. Renegade, he said, I want to see him plant the spear. I think it's great.
They'll have a chance to see that because that's by coin toss time. So he'll be there.
Yeah, no, it was cool. I thought he was an interesting kid. Anyhow, obviously for Florida State, I thought it was interesting that the Noles were picked second. I think that's a pretty lofty prediction for Florida State. I think I would have guessed there would have been some people looking at them maybe as even a third-place team.
In the Atlantic? Because it's fourth in the conference.
Yeah, fourth in the conference. Obviously, Clemson and Miami ahead. I thought you could see Florida State further down the list because a lot of the media members are solely looking at a 6-loss season, a quarterback question, a program that looked to be in disarray, a first-year coach, not a first-year head coach in the profession, but first year at Florida State, a revamping of an offense and a defense to some degree, and maybe all of that taking time combined with the schedule. You could see some people maybe finding a way to slotting NC State higher up because they've got a first-round draft pick at quarterback, and that maybe that could happen. But it didn't. So for Florida State, I think second in the Atlantic seems about right. You wouldn't pick us over Clemson?
No.
Of course not.
No, certainly not.
And that made sense to me. The ACC kickoff, and we talked a lot about it today, first show back, was interesting. I really took the time to listen to a lot of different outlets. I spent my time when I wasn't hanging out with that knucklehead Corey Clark and Ira Schafel or David Hale. I was listening to a lot of the other talking heads. There are some really talented guys that cover this conference. There are some that are terrible, but the ones that David Glenn does a good job covering the ACC, for example, and he's there and he's kind of a senior spokesman for the conference in a way, and he's a former journalist and he does a good job, I think. And just listening to their takes, I listened to my cohorts on Sirius XM to get their thoughts with Packer and those guys, and talk to certain writers that I respect in the business that cover the ACC by and large. David Teal was there.
Yep.
And so I had a great time, chit-chatting a little bit with him. You can tell Florida State is a bit of an enigma to those guys right now. A lot of those guys are like, we know things appear to be a bit of a mess from a season ago, but one thing that didn't seem to be lacking was talent. So you've got talent, you've got speed, but you did lose 6 times last year. You can't be that good, and we don't know who's going to play quarterback, and so, they're kind of wrestling around with it. You can tell.
There you go. For people who are sick and tired of the Jimbo Fisher, bashing or referendum, post-era, The more games we win this season, the worse it is for him, and the louder those cries will be about the 2017 season, and the harsher the paragraph in the Florida State history book will be about what Jimbo was towards the end of his tenure. Because if we win 10 or 11 games and we look really impressive
with this schedule,
and it's all about tweaking, it was about engaging the kids. That was it. That's all you needed. Was a coherent staff and to engage the kids?
Yeah, I've said this before, though, and I really think this is true, and I don't know that I think it's been done enough. It's well documented, and more things have kind of trickled out over time because the kids at the damn meetings were able to kind of put a ribbon on the conversation with what they said.
Yeah, their own stamp.
Yeah, their own stamp. So here's what I'll say. Is I think there's a larger contingent that are ready just to move on and embrace whatever happens with this group and keep it of this group. But I also think that in fairness, and this is interesting because on the one hand, you can certainly criticize Coach Fisher for having lost the locker room. On the other hand, can you ever get it back? The danger in losing the locker room is that you may never be able to get it back, or certainly not for a few cycles of players. And so once it happened, once it got derailed, in fairness to him, I don't think he was going to be able to That's why I was saying to you and why I said it to a lot of people last year, and it kind of ruffled some feathers that, hey, guys, let's not forget we lost 3 games last year and 3 the year before. Things don't seem to be going real well now, and it just didn't feel like that was going to change anytime soon.
Yeah, well, it was also just so apparent for the 60 Minutes, not the Boston College ones. Let's even throw those out of our mind for a moment.
Well, right, you're lacking effort.
Yeah.
So, again, I just think that
the game wasn't the reward. Isn't that what you always say?
I always say
the game was the reward.
Yeah.
It didn't look like it for the players.
No, it didn't. It wasn't a relief. So I just, it's weird. On the one hand, that's the very thing that you can absolutely hang on his head and say, how did you let that happen? How did you let this great thing go so wayward? Did you let your personal problems or angers or frustrations with the university or the booster club or anything else you want to throw into that mix get the best of you, and thus you overlook some things you shouldn't have? Maybe. But I don't have any interest anymore because I think once it happened, it was over. I don't think he was going to be able to get it back. So what had to happen did happen. And that is what I'm embracing. Like, the thing we got out from under is that ridiculous contract and a broken guy. And so you celebrate that and say you thank your lucky stars and hope like hell Willie and his staff get off on the right foot. Certainly they have off the field. They got to on the field.
Well, it's the same thing that happened, the other way around. When McElwain and the death threats storyline came out, we went, oh, crap, this is the opening they need to make a change.
Right, it happened.
We'll see if the next guy gets – but it starts the wheels in motion because McElwain could have been there another year or two, and it would have been wonderful for – I mean, imagine he was still there.
Well, I said the same thing when Urban Meyer decided to walk away. I was like, oh, you got lucky.
Right.
He could have dug his heels in for another 8 years.
Right.
And what were you going to do, fire a 2-time national champion?
Right. And so what Florida is probably seeing, or Miami was seeing, especially Miami because they got the win this past year, was, oh, well, my goodness, it looks like
things have changed.
Too many cooks in the kitchen in one area, and there's not enough in another.
All right.
Times have changed. Mark Richt is going to take, oh, my God, he's gone to Texas A&M. You've got to be kidding me.
But here's the difference. I don't think people in this conference see it that way, and I'm not so sure everybody nationally sees it that way. That's one thing I did take away from the ACC kickoff. There is still a big wait-and-see element on Willie and this staff. Just because, look, USF is not Florida State, and Western Kentucky certainly isn't, and he was only there for a season in Oregon. And while I can say 5 losses is 5 losses, he had an injury at quarterback. When the quarterback was healthy, they won, and they won big, and they looked good. But people have looked at that in totality and said, I still don't know. Now, I fault him a little bit for just looking at records and saying that, but I kind of understand why you would say, well, we'll see. I mean, because at least, for example, Dan Mullen has won. He won at Mississippi State, where it's damn hard to win because you're at Mississippi State.
Yeah, he got them to #1 in the country.
Right, briefly. Yeah, so the point, it happened, right?
If at all.
Right. So the point would be they know in the consistently most difficult conference in the country, he won games at Mississippi State. So what they have is a known commodity in him. But they don't look at it the way we look at it, which is, oh, but we're going to win the recruiting battles, and thus he's screwed. They're not looking at that. They're saying, well, on the field of game days, that guy won some games.
Right. But if he had the head start that Mac had with Muschamp's players, you'd be worried. You'd say, well, he's got a defense.
Yeah.
All he needs to do is put some reasonable
He'll find
offense.
somebody decent, yeah.
He'll find somebody off the street, and he'll be able to score 17 to 20 points, which is good enough to win 9 to 10 games a year and maybe beat us once or twice
when they
in
have
the next 2 or 3
defense,
seasons.
yeah.
Right. But the head start is not there.
It's not in
That's
place.
the unfortunate thing.
Devastating.
Oh, just
heartbreaking to note. Yeah. Well, when we come back, it will be the Willie Taggart interview. Hang in.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this. It's right here, guys. We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Smoother, bolder, sharper, comfier, smarter, fiercer, tougher, stronger, longer, greater, prouder. Gravely Zero-Turn Mowers.
TNT. 2020 vision. But let me tell you something, folks. You can't fix stupid.
November 8th, Donald L. Tucker Civic Center. Tickets on sale Friday at 10 a.m. Online at tuckerciviccenter.com or at the Donald L. Tucker Civic Center box office. Produced by AEG Presents for mature audiences.
The holidays are coming. Well, in a few months, and that's why now is the time to shower up with a beautiful custom bath or shower enclosure from Widden Glass. Don't wait for the holiday rush. Widden Glass will take care of you this summer to your complete satisfaction. They've been helping to design and install bath and shower enclosures for Tallahassee homeowners for over 70 years. When you call Widden Glass, you're dealing with real glass people, experienced, reliable professionals. Widden's top-of-the-line bath and shower enclosures provide style and luxury at an affordable price. With the holidays coming, that means family, and that means now is the time to shower up with style.
Call today. Widden Glass, the real glass people. 222-5781 or online at widdenglass.com. WHIDDON. Widden, Tallahassee's first family in glass since 1945. 222-5781.
The Jeff Cameron Show, weekdays 3 to 6 on 97.9 ESPN Radio is brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener. Big store pricing with local service. Online at ctf.nu.
Today, business happens here, and virtually anywhere. Because today, innovative companies are reinventing the way business happens, and they need people who can keep up. With the expertise and technology to get packages to over 150 million delivery points. So, who can help you deliver the future of commerce? The United States Postal Service. See why we deliver more e-commerce packages to homes than anyone at USPS.com/future.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
I brought back with us from the meetings in Charlotte there, I brought you a special. I figured you'd want this. I'll show everybody at home watching on YouTube. The Football Bowl Association pad that we get every year. I know how much it means to you to have one of these. You'll see, Tom, that it wasn't just me grabbing stuff off of a pile. I got one for myself as well.
Uh-huh.
but I thought of you, so I have two. It's
well,
not
that is
just yeah.
spectacular.
And by the way, this one here has my notes from talking to Willie Taggart. I was keeping some notes and some thoughts on DeAndre Francois, and also I was talking to Adazio. I've got some notes where I was talking to Adazio about Anthony Brown. So I was scribbling these notes on my pad, but I left your pad pristine, buddy, just so you can write whatever you want with the old FBA Football Bowl Association pad.
Well, I love FBA, and when you get to know these guys well enough, you call them FBA, and they put out the finest spiral notebooks this side of the Mason-Dixon line.
Yeah, it's I always say that too.
Yeah.
I say, man, if you really want a spiral notebook, you got to get yourself to that ACC meeting and get you an FBA spiral notebook. So yours is waiting over here. I brought that. Of course, anybody can get these now, but as we build up here to the Willie Taggart interview replay, I brought us back the new one.
There it is.
There's
all
on the cover
right.
there.
Do something.
Do something there on the back. The great Alec Eberle right there, prominent there.
Well,
and then
might he be with the strength and conditioning program getting better?
He might. I'm hoping so. There's actually a lot of guys on here, not just Alec Eberle, but I just thought he was looking rather prominent there.
You know what was funny about that, though? When the Showtime series was at its peak in that dark year that was 2016, I remember talking to you about that, and I'm not sure if it was on the air or not, but Eberle was obviously featured a lot in that show for the side interviews. They went to Metro Deli one time.
That's right, they did.
And I thought, that's what our center looks like? I mean, I get it. You're an offensive lineman. But are you kidding me?
He was a little frumpy.
The guy looks like a marshmallow. That's our starting center?
He's gone through a transformation since getting healthy, right? That's the whole thing. So we'll see. Obviously that is a big part of all this. I didn't talk to Willie about the strength and conditioning program gains because at that time some of those numbers hadn't come out, but a lot of guys have been talking about it nonstop. Brian Burns talked about it at the ACC kickoff. I talked to both those guys, and he did talk about growing up a lot. Let me do this before we play the interview with head coach Willie Taggart, and I know people are anxious to hear it. We did play it in the 3 o'clock hour if you missed it. But one thing I'll say to you is that it was fascinating talking to these guys. They're all business, as you might expect, and they did a good job of representing the university in a good light. But Brian Burns proceeded to talk about, because I straight up asked him about the fact that, he thought certainly a year ago he was going to have a huge season, and save for the Clemson game, he really wasn't a dominant figure on a regular basis. He'd have his moments. He truly flashed in the Clemson game. I mean, that's 7 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and a fumble recovery. That's doing some things. But, you wondered when that was happening in that game, what the hell was going on? And he talked about needing to grow up, needing to take better care of his body, understanding what it takes to be elite each week and getting more mature and doing the things necessary to have success on a week-to-week basis. And you'll find that's kind of a familiar refrain with the entirety of the offseason. It's about accountability, responsibility, and the need to be the need to understand you're beholden to the guy next to you.
Well, and one thing I thought, and I've heard all the audio now that I got back. And, there was one common thread. Don't want to give everything away that we have. But there was one common thread that Burns and both he and Akers talked about. And Cam Akers, I heard him say it first. They got by on talent. A lot of it was getting by on talent. And Burns mentioned to you that there were other details that it takes, obviously, to be successful. And he figured that out by the Clemson game and towards the end of the season. And what Cam Akers told you was that he left a lot on the field because of he was a freshman, and it was all athleticism and not the knowledge of the game that got him by. And that's the development thing, that if you're banking on Florida State winning 10 or 11 games this year,
if you're in the high end of that expectation, right,
it's because of everything that's in between the lines. It's about the development. It's about progression, because we already know what we have athletically speaking, but what we don't know is how many guys are maximized in their potential,
right,
and how many can grow to become significantly better players. Because if you get 3 or 4 on either side of the ball, be it Eberle or Burns or Akers develops, what does this become? It becomes a monster now. Instead of a nice story, it becomes a team that even Clemson would have to pay attention to.
Yeah, I believe, by the way, that there is a reason. I'm not sure it's going to happen because year ones can be tricky in predicting. But I do believe there's a reason, if you were so inclined, to latch on to this idea that Florida State could be the surprise team, as much as Florida State can be a surprise team any year, of the college football top 25. I think Florida State could be a team that is really either just on the cusp of being in the top 25 in preseason predictions or on the just outside looking in just barely. It depends on where you're looking. I think Florida State has a chance to be a top 10 team. And if you believe that, it's because you think exactly that these gains and this trust and this buying in and playing to potential and organization is now flowing in the right direction. And that in and of itself will mean that they win some of the close games they lost a year ago, certainly. They take care of business with relative ease against teams that they are vastly superior than talent-wise. And that gives more guys a chance to play. When you give more guys a chance to play, they get more locked in to what's going on as well. You create and foster a better attitude team-wide from the top down when that happens. So there are a lot of things that will serve as a domino effect just by being a little bit more tightly knit group and believing in the direction the program's going. Now, the harder part of that sell is never early. It's always later after you've had some success. You know, Jimbo was able to sell his message, his talking points about the process rather easily. It was all digested immediately by players who desperately wanted to win, who hated losing, who were on the wrong end of some losses they found to be embarrassing. And then the wins happened. He recruited well. They won a bunch of games. Sustaining it is very difficult. So looking at that model and seeing that that seems to be true across the board at a lot of places around college football with a modern coach, I would apply that here, that Willie will come in. He's got a vision of the way things should be. He's holding people accountable. They believe in that because certainly it was a little loose last couple of years, and they're all in. And they may immediately reap the benefits of that this year, and we may see a surprise. I would say, 10-2 would be a very surprising season given that it's year one, new systems, and that schedule. And if that happens, I mean, then, we remember how quickly things turned from, well, we'll see. I mean, certainly I think this is going to move in the right direction soon to, by the way, we're coming for your ass. We're winning the national title. Remember how quick that happened? It didn't take long before we started thinking, So
yeah, we're a piece away here or there.
Yeah, remember that?
Right,
We were saying, 2 years into the Jimbo thing, we were going, he's getting close to competing as a top 5 team is what we thought.
Oh, yeah, 2012 was the year.
That was the year,
right. And it ended up being 1 year later. And then you put 14 on the map. I mean, you have 3 straight seasons where the expectations were fully that we are going to be either in the BCS title game or a playoff contender or whatever it was. 15 we knew was going to be a step-back year. But then 16 and 17, in both of those preseasons, expectations were ratcheted right back up.
Oh, yeah. So, it didn't take long is all I'm saying. And if he wins, when the schedule came out, we looked at Virginia Tech as an iffy. I think we're all now starting to look at that more and more like, good chance to win that game. Real good chance to get off on the right foot there on a Monday night. Well, now if you pencil that in as a win, the next thing you know, you're 4-0 going to Louisville, and I don't think we think that highly of Louisville. So, you can start to dare to dream. Willie wouldn't do that right now, of course. I mean, he dares to dream, but he's not going to look 4 or 5 paces ahead. He's going to talk about what he has to do now and what practice is going to look like and all that.
But that's a challenge, and I'm not talking about the Samford game necessarily, because who would? But, after Virginia Tech, if you win that game, an early season challenge for Willie will be keep your eyes right in front of you guys. Mm-hmm. Don't look at that schedule. Now, damn it, I know Miami's on the horizon.
Right.
But you got to stay focused. Give it to me here for Samford and then Syracuse.
Well, let me say this, and here's why, and he'll have their attention, I think. I talked to Dino Babers, and the one thing I will say is when I went back and looked at Dungy's numbers, the quarterback there, and he can never stay healthy. But when he does, if you extrapolate what he did a year ago through a full season, it's 33 touchdowns and over 4,000 yards. It's the kind of number that you would associate with Lamar Jackson. It's crazy stuff, right? And so if he's healthy, they should have your undivided attention.
I would think they would because, again, you look where that is in the schedule given Samford and then Northern Illinois. But to me, they're the Big 12 team in the ACC, the way Babers runs it. And they played a game with Wake last year where I think they combined for over 100 points.
Sure, it was nuts, yeah.
The way we run things now, we're going to be totally ready for that game, but it's an easy sell.
It's an easy sell.
It's an easy sell.
It's an easy
you throw
sell.
on the Clemson tape from last year or whatever you want to run.
Yeah.
They're successful enough on offense, and overall they were successful against Clemson on a Friday night that it should have our undivided attention, yes.
Yeah, I mean, better than the 4-8 record they had, Will.
Right.
I mean,
Right. Well, it's a little smoke and mirrors.
Yeah,
but
that's what I'm saying. You can't look at that. You'll have to say, well, they got hurt. They had this problem.
It's your second legitimate game of the season too. So I think the new car smell will still be there for effort.
Might note, by the way, just as an aside, as we look big picture, and we're going to get to the Willie interview now. Dino's got to do some things this year. I think Dino's got to do some things this year. He's the old 8-16.
Well, and he's got a quarterback. If that guy stays healthy for 12 games, you probably need to make a bowl.
Got to do better than 4-8. All right, here's Willie Taggart from Charlotte at the ACC kickoff. Hey, Coach, you're about ready to be done with this, aren't you?
Not yet.
No?
But here a little bit.
Well, the reason I asked that is, obviously, as the new guy, everybody wants to talk to you, and that's exciting. At the same time, you've said it numerous times, you haven't coached a game yet.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you checked all the boxes in the sense that Florida State fans love you.
Mm-hmm.
The spring game was a huge success. I talked to the players. They sound bought in. How eager are you for this first game against Virginia Tech so you can get to the part that you love to do, which is coaching football?
I'm not that eager yet. I'm more eager for training camp, and see the work that our kids have put in this offseason when we wasn't working with them. I think that's going to say a lot about our football team as we go into training camp and see the improvement that they made. Once I see that improvement, I think I get very eager for the first game to go out there and perform, knowing how important that game is for us. So I think now, and I think you see a lot out of your football team from spring ball to training camp, especially the work they put in because we can't be out there. And I'm really excited to see that more than anything. And once I see that, then, again, like I said, I think I get more eager for that first game.
Do you I want to go back to creating a culture which you had to come in and do and create a family atmosphere and all that you've talked about it. Do you like having a game of the magnitude of this to start a season? A lot of coaches like to ease into a game. Are you indifferent about it, or do you see it as a great opportunity? You're excited. I know every game is a game that is an opportunity, but
I'm always looking at things as a positive, and this is a great opportunity for our football program on national TV. And you think about the down year we had last year, we got a chance to go out and right a lot of wrong in the first game of the season and let people know things are going to be different, against a really good football team, and we got them at home. So I'm excited about all those positive opportunities that we have in front of us by doing that. And again, that's kind of the way the game has gone now. That's what's happening, and I don't get caught up in all the other things. We got to play, and you think about the expectations and where we want to be. You got to have a strong schedule, and you got to win them. I mean, that's the fact of the matter. So we just got to take care of our business.
Have you found that? Listen, everybody's going to ask you about quarterbacks, so I'll get to it. But have you found that DeAndre has bought in now? Because that's the first guy everybody's going to bring up. We know James has been from the beginning, and he won his teammates over with the beating he took last year in a pretty untenable situation. Kept getting up, kept playing hard. The question's been about DeAndre coming off of injury, and then whether or not he can win that locker room and trust of everybody around. And how has your relationship with him grown?
Big time. From day one, we met quite a bit one-on-one, and I think he's learning a lot. He's learning a lot about being a quarterback at Florida State, and he's learning the microscope that he's in and understanding how there's things that he's probably been able to do before. He can't do those anymore. That's just, you're not in that position anymore, and I think a lot of it is just learning. And I think that's our job as coaches to help and teach him how to do things the right way. I think DeAndre is a great kid. I think he wants to do things the right way. I think a lot of it is they just want to know how. He want to know how we want him to do those things. He want to be a leader. I think a big part, he didn't necessarily know how to go about doing it. Everyone thinks just yelling at people, that's not just leading. And it's part of my job to help teach him how to be a leader. And I think we're going through that process now. I think he's growing up. I mean, he made a decision to move back on campus to be around his teammates, knowing that that's going to be big for him. And, been around them, and I think the team embraced that. To be honest with you, I think they wanted that more than anything for him to be back around. But I do know DeAndre is a kid that he don't trust easy, and it takes time to where he can trust you, and you understand it as a coach, and you work with him to get to that point. And once he trusts you, then he'll open up to you and allow you in. I think he's allowed me in, and when I'm critical of him, he take it with a grain of salt and don't take it personally and understand it. But I'm also always trying to teach him how we can be better and how he can be better and what the team expect out of him. And I think he's getting the grasp of that. And as I see him around with the team now, he's smiling more, and it's just good to see him around more. But more importantly, I see the team more excited, joking and playing with him too, and that's cool to see.
You've talked about the advantage of coming in at a time while a team was still practicing for a bowl and preparation and being able to sit in meetings and look and see how guys react. Were you worried initially when you didn't see from DeAndre Francois what you needed to see? Were you concerned that maybe he was lost?
Well, I knew when I was still out in Oregon and I heard that he wasn't at the senior day. To me, that was an issue then. And so when I was before I got on the plane to fly here for our press conference, I called DeAndre. And we talked, and I discussed to him that day how that bothered me. And as we go forward, I don't need that from our quarterback. I need our quarterback around his teammates, loving his teammates, and I need this team to know that their quarterback will do everything in his power for them, whatever it takes, take his shirt off their back for him. And explain that to him and to let him know even before I got there that was on my mind, so he'll know that there was high expectations for him. And but I also knew that when that happened, to me, that was a kid that's lost. Right. Because that just don't happen. You just don't show up. So, but then once you get to know the kid, you can see why certain things happen. It's hard to trust, you know what I mean? And when he do trust, he don't want to be betrayed. But anyway, so you just try to understand the young people and understand what they're going through. Everyone thinks it's just peaches and cream.
Right.
And these kids go through so much, so you try to understand them, but also hold them accountable and to the things that they have to do and the things that they signed up to do.
You feel like, final thing, Coach, obviously that has resonated, that message, the family atmosphere you've tried to create. You when I talked to Brian Burns earlier, talked to Cam, talked to various players, you get a sense that everybody is all in. And I know it was one of the things you said that you thought was most glaring when you came here, that guys didn't know each other. Guys, and football's a hard game.
Yep.
If you don't trust the guy across from you or next to you, it's hard to play that game.
Yep.
And do you feel like we're at a place right now? I know you're excited for practice to start to see more, but you feel like that's happened? That's what this offseason has been about?
I think we're so further ahead than what we were when I first got here. And because our guys are starting to understand guys more, the guys are understanding more personal life about guys, which made them understand why guys act the way they do. And it's great to hear some guys like, man, I didn't even realize such and such went through this. I've been here for 4 years, and I didn't know that.
Did you get them together and exchange this information?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we did a senior retreat about a month ago with our seniors and our Unity Council, and we went off and spent the night, and it was all about leadership. It was all about getting to know each other, and it was great just hearing guys, just seeing how excited guys were to understand guys even more, and then they tell you, Coach, appreciate you for doing this,
right.
Because they tell you that they just don't know each other as well, so you see it now, and you see their attitudes are different. They're around each other more. What I'm happy about, they're in the office a lot more. It's easy to find a guy now, and that's pretty cool.
Hey, Coach, I'll be talking to you
thanks,
a lot.
All right,
see you. Take care. So we'll come back and react to that. That was Willie Taggart. I enjoyed the conversation, and I had a little chit-chat with him off the air as well, and he was in good spirits, as you can tell, and I think he's ready to get to coaching, get to practice, and let that quarterback competition start in earnest.
Yeah, get to camp, not to the games.
That's right. He was ready to get to camp.
Ready to get to camp.
He is ready to get to camp, ready to see some of these battles take place. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this. It's right here, guys. We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Smoother, bolder, sharper, comfier, smarter, fiercer, tougher, stronger, longer, greater, prouder. Gravely Zero-Turn Mowers.
Bath and shower enclosures provide style and luxury at an affordable price. With the holidays coming, that means family, and that means now is the time to shower up with style.
Call today. Whitten Glass, the real glass people. 222-5781 or online at whittenglass.com. WHIDDON. Whitten, Tallahassee's first family in glass since 1945. 222-5781.
Hi, Chris Kraft at Kraft Nissan. Once again, if you have perfect credit, this message is not for you. Here's the deal. Nissan's secondary finance program was a huge success. Kraft Nissan had our best 2-month run ever, and that's a fact. We were shocked by the number of customers who thanked us for getting them out of the world of little used car dealers with crazy high interest rates and unreal monthly payments. So we decided, let's adopt a similar program in-house so we can continue to help people with dinged-up credit year-round. Kraft Nissan's New For You program is very similar to the factory deal. It's easy. All you need is proof of employment and proof of residency, period. We welcomed in people with credit scores under 600, people with recent bankruptcies, and folks recently divorced. A wide array of real people with real-life credit situation. What happened? Almost each and every one of them got a brand new Nissan Altima. That's what happened. Not a used car, a brand new Altima. It's Kraft Nissan's New For You program. Put good people into good new cars. People all around Tallahassee are discovering if you have a dent in your credit, now more than ever, you don't see the Kraft tag on your car, you paid too much, way too much.
Tallahassee loves the corner pocket as much as a crystal ball winning catch.
He's looking, he lost it to the end zone. It's Benjamin! Touchdown! With 13 seconds left.
The 97.9 ESPN radio special is a must-have every Monday and Wednesday at the corner pocket. 10 mouth-watering wings, a fresh side of fries, and a chilled domestic pint of beer are just $9.79 all day long. Be sure and try the fish blend of sauces, a true wing eater's favorite. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
He's gone!
Home of Trivia Tuesday, Beer Bingo Thursday, and the daily $7.99 lunch special.
Barry knows cool. He's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool. You can put him to the test.
Summer temps in Tallahassee can mean extra stress on your AC unit. Let Barano Heating and Air Conditioning help with their Total Comfort Service program. Visit BaranoAC.com for info. You'll also find money-saving rebates, energy-saving tips, online scheduling, and more. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Call 580-4029. License for CAC 057652.
Today, business happens here, and virtually anywhere. Because today, innovative companies are reinventing the way business happens. And they need people who can keep up. With the expertise and technology to get packages to over 150 million delivery points. So, who can help you deliver the future of commerce? The United States Postal Service. See why we deliver more e-commerce packages to homes than anyone at USPS.com/future.
Tallahassee, get ready for the WWE Live SummerSlam Heatwave Tour. Saturday night, July 28th at Donald L. Tucker Civic Center. You'll see Roman Reigns join Seth Rollins to face Constable Baron Corbin and Drew McIntyre. Braun Strowman faces Kevin Owens. Raw Women's Champion Alexa Bliss defends against Nia Jax and Sasha Banks, and more. Great seats available now at the box office and TuckerCivicCenter.com.
By the time that we got up there, his room was filled with smoke.
The wind had blown and drifted the snow up against the side of my house, blocking the exhaust from my furnace.
I heard the smoke alarm going off in my friend's apartment.
Without the kidda smoke alarm, my son would not be here today.
And had it not been for that carbon monoxide detector, they would come to school and not have their teacher there.
I grabbed my fire extinguisher and put out the fire.
Kidda makes technology that saves lives.
Get these essential products at your local retailer today.
Broadcasting live from the AmeriGas Propane Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Enjoyed talking with Coach Taggart. I look forward to talking to him again once practice gets underway. The news is forthcoming that everything's going to work out, I think, with this football-only facility. As all reports indicate that that's going to be a go. And we'll await all of the particulars and the details, but you just figured that was going to be a thing that got done.
Well, I was glad to see it. So, obviously being away from the country, the funny thing is you can't read War Chant in other countries. They don't have like a portal if you try to log in from the UK.
Is that right?
To view their stuff. Not every site does. Like ESPN.com, for example, automatically pings you to ESPN.co.uk, so you're seeing a bunch of soccer stuff.
Yeah.
Which is kind of, funny. They have their own dedicated website. So when I got back stateside and I saw that War Chant had the War Room thing, I was like, ooh, these are usually good. That's like probably the best thing they do on that site from a content standpoint because you have insider info. And it talked about how the facility would be probably standalone. And I thought that was interesting because a couple of weeks ago, it really did feel like they were just going to renovate the Moore Center. So I guess some lobbying went on, or maybe some dollars were earmarked to the project the way Willie wanted the project done. Glad to see it.
You're going to want to, as you noted when we first talked about this, you're going to want an opportunity, certainly, to sell that and raise money for this facility. And you're going to have that opportunity. And so that's a good thing. I mean, I wasn't surprised that it's, was going to happen. Especially, you got a new coach, you got momentum.
Well, we talked about it, before the break, which was it has to be fully formed, this idea, because you need that video to run, the first quarter break of the Virginia Tech game, that Monday night, when everybody's feeling great about themselves and about the program, and you have that 4-minute commercial break. That's the time that you run the infomercial. That is, give me your money for the standalone football facility.
It's the time, and it will, I think, obviously be received well and reacted to well. There's a lot of positive momentum right now, and this is the time to capitalize on it. And obviously that first game, what better time to do it, at least for those in the stadium. What a night that's going to be. And we sit here now, and I realize that we've been talking about it all off season and all summer, and it's just kind of like, wake me up when it's here. But you can feel a bit of that buzz, and I do anticipate Monday night being the kind of game that is reminiscent of Oklahoma and some of the other great, all-time great atmospheres. People are starving.
Yeah, some of the best atmospheres that I've experienced, and you got to experience decades more. And I don't mean that in a bad way.
No, you're right.
Because they were better decades than my undergraduate experience. But
some of them were, yeah.
The Oklahoma one was obviously number one because it was about return to prominence. But the Florida game in 2010, that was in the afternoon. ESPN,
that was incredible. The lengthy pregame they allowed us to sell the program.
Because you knew it was over that day. It's over.
You did, yeah.
We're going to take down Florida, and it's a new day. And then another one was the Notre Dame game. I thought that Notre Dame game in 14 was really fun. But this one's going to rival the Oklahoma game. I think it's going straight to the top of the list.
Some of the passes Jameis threw in that Notre Dame game, I still marvel.
Well,
highlight reel throws.
But in the first half, asinine. I mean, some of the decisions he made in the first half, you thought, what is this crap? What are you doing?
Well, that was indicative of the entire 2014 season. Yeah. Because then in the second half, you'd go, woo! Nobody else makes that throw. I mean, it was just...
It was the sidearm throw around the blitzer, who was a free rusher.
Yeah, it's insane. And that shot from the cameras from on high and behind him, and you go, well, that is absurd.
So he's getting a lot of FaceTime right now on Get Up. I've been watching Get Up just to catch up with the news stories. around sports, and he's had 2 graphics about him on ESPN's national platform in the mornings the last 2 days. One was a statistical note about who's thrown for more yards than Jameis has through 3 seasons. Only 2 quarterbacks have done it, and it's Luck and Peyton Manning. And then they got into a debate about Jameis, the greater debate. And then today there was an anonymous NFL scout who said that Jameis doesn't throw people open. And that was a knock on him, that he doesn't throw people open. It's not like college where he can rely on better receivers. That was an anonymous NFL exec. And then they got to talking about Jameis Winston, the quarterback, on the desk. And I thought, what evaluator would ever say that?
No, that's really quite silly. But, that's why I don't watch that show or many like it. I just it show's not terrible when I have seen it. But I just, I think this is the goofy season.
Yeah.
We're in the goofy season.
Well, and he's a lightning rod, so here you go
this
again.
This is going to be, you want to see a you-know-what show.
Yeah.
Welcome to this year, the first 3 games. They play the most difficult schedule in the NFL, the first 3 games of the season, and one of them is a Monday Night Football game. How many lengthy diatribes are we going to be subjected to? Now, listen, I'm not saying that this isn't something that ought to be covered and looked into and discussed, and it is controversial and for good reason, and he is not devoid of responsibility. And so I understand that with the missteps and the allegations come unwelcome coverage that make you cringe a little bit and make you kind of wonder where you're at with all of this stuff. I'm not disagreeing with that, but what I'm saying is that there's only so many times you can hear it.
Yeah,
and if you're a Bucs fan, you're really in tune to it, and you understand that it's the only talking point many of the national talking heads are going to have. You and I care about whether or not this team can win 9 games, 8 games. You and I care about whether or not moving forward the organization is going to have to start over completely, both with a new franchise quarterback and new head coach.
Yeah.
Or is any of this salvageable? And we're doing all of that juxtaposed to the real dilemma as to whether or not you believe he did something or didn't do something and to what extent. And it's all very difficult.
Yeah, the most recent incident adds a layer of complexity, negative layer, to how I view Jameis. And it's different than if you asked me 2 months ago. I have a fundamentally different starting place. It doesn't mean that I think that I'm rewriting 2013 or 2014. I'm not. But in saying that, the quote about him not throwing receivers open is just absurd.
Oh, well, yeah. That has nothing to do with anything.
All that other crap aside, that's not true at all. If he does anything, it's throw people open.
Oh,
what the F are you watching? No, he stares down receivers, and he trusts Cameron Brate on every 3rd down that's ever existed and throws his way.
Evans, too. He's got to get more diversified there. But
he makes 4 throws a game where you go, that's only anticipation.
Listen, if you just think about what they were originally doing, which was showcasing the numbers and showcasing some of the superlatives of his first 3 seasons, you would note that he's incapable of putting up those kinds of numbers if, in fact, he was this guy that didn't throw people open.
But I think I'd go so far as to say whoever, I don't know if Get Up did it or they pulled it from Bleacher Report. You know what I mean? I don't know where they got the quote from. But I think whoever printed that quote made it up.
Oh, I believe
because
that.
There is not an anonymous NFL exec. If they were actually a scout and watched the film.
I 100% agree that they just needed it in print so they could have something. Yeah, I agree with that.
I think that was just straight up made up. Yeah.
Probably.
That's ridiculous.
Rapid fire. Here we go. Let's go. A lot of day games today, so not much in the night slate. Here you go.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
Red Sox, Orioles, David Price, Dylan Bundy, A's, Rangers, Edwin Jackson, Martin Perez. We got the Stros and the Rockies, Charlie Morton, John Gray, White Sox, Angels to conclude the night at 10:07 p.m. at Angel Stadium. That's James Shields, Tyler Skaggs. And that is a look at those that shall reside on the bump just like that. Now, I do know that it is Balls McWednesday. And that means this evening, in mere moments, in fact, as I sign off to say goodbye, there's another really good show that you should listen to. I like that he writes out the whole thing. As a reminder, Stan Jones is on, though.
Yeah, that's what.
And the great Tim Linnefeld.
Director Matthew making sure that we know who the guests are.
Mm-hmm. Well, I haven't heard from Stan in a while, and, he's got a lot to talk about. That was an Elite 8 team.
We didn't like the complexity of the offense back when we had defenders who were athletes, right? But I think we're okay with the offense the way it is now.
Yeah, they score.
So if we backed off of Stan Jones, is that true?
I'm fine with Stan. I get along with Stan.
We the
collective,
the collective fan base. A lot of people whose number one concern was Stan. Are we okay with him now?
I think there are some people that they just can't get out from under that rock, man. There's just no way that that's going to happen. But we'll listen to Stan next on Front Row Knowles, along with Tim Linnefeld, as I said, and, of course, Tom and Keith. I saw Keith twice up there. Didn't get a chance to hang out with him. He was at a distance, and he grew a beard.
Did he really?
First time I saw him, I didn't recognize him. He looks like Santa Claus. It's all white. His beard is all white. I'm not knocking you, Stan. Keith.
You didn't share a Rolling Rock with him?
I didn't. I didn't see him out. I don't know if he was a hermit. I don't know if he's lonely without Tom. Good work out of you, sir. Good to be back on the air. Good work, Matthew. Be well, everybody. Thanks for listening.